one of the best things I've ever seen.
Dan, can you hear Dan? I mean,
yeah, I hear him. Yep, hi, Danny.
All right, and we're actually live. So, Tooch, I'm going to put you backstage. I'm going to go here, and people are pouring into the bar room. I see the numbers going 5, 6, 7, 8, and more are coming in. So we are actually going to start this show. Dan, happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah. I spent my Thanksgiving with you.
Yes, we did. Dan and I were two lost souls. For Cheesy, can you hear Dan Aguirre out in the chat room there? Speak to us, Dan.
Hello, whoever's in the chat room. What's up? Hello.
Matthew Focheesy, the Bear Man. There he is. They're saying everybody is so relieved. They were like, man, I was hoping I didn't have to listen to Tooch and Aldo the entire show.
I'm relieved too. I mean, I was like, what am I doing wrong? I kept looking. I was like, I don't think it's anything on my end.
No, you didn't touch a damn thing. I don't know, man. It's sometimes, you turn something on and then you turn it back on. Everything goes wacky. So
the equipment must be female. I mean, like I said, I love women, but women can be a little bit fickle. Let's just be honest.
If you just joined us, we had some technical problems. So this is our second go around. People can hear Dan Aguirre now, so life is good. And I was just going to ask Dan how his Thanksgiving was, but actually he and I spent it texting one another because he had to work and I was without family because I was working in the barroom stuff. And so I decided to just kind of stay at home and enjoy most of the day on my own. Dan, did you get late or anything?
No, not on Thanksgiving. As soon as we got off the air, I think I went to bed for like 7 hours after that because I'd only slept like 3 before. Mm-hmm. And then I just watched TV and I may have worked out. And then I went and I worked Friday. I worked over the weekend as well. So no, I haven't had any sexual escapades, if you will, since the one I was talking about last week.
Well, 4,000 Clovers is very, very upset because he says he only came on to listen to Dan's sex life segment. So,
well, trust me, there's nothing there. I mean, it's like, do you remember Good Luck Chuck?
No.
It was a Dane Cook film. The premise is he got laid a lot, mm-hmm. and whomever he fucked then found the love of their lives mm-hmm. after taking his cock. That's happened to me like 4 times with women I've been with, and then suddenly the next guy's who they get with. So it's kind of a curse. Like my friend Michael says, this is his words, not mine. Mm-hmm. He says he's got pussy on tap. And I was like, well, that's not exactly true. But needless to say, on Sunday I went to that Gucci movie because of the cast. You had Al Pacino and Adam Driver and the guy that was in Lolita and Dead Ringers, mm-hmm. Jeremy Irons, mm-hmm. and Lady Gaga. You had the supreme cast, So I went to that, but couldn't find one fucking woman that wanted to go.
Wow.
Everyone was saying either maybe or it's all wishy-washy, So that's what I'm saying. It's sort of a yeah, maybe you can get laid, but fuck, who wants to go see a movie with this fuck? Yeah. Nobody, apparently. So.
Well, that's a shame. I mean, and you said that you were the only one in the movie theater when you went, right?
Absolutely. Like I said, it depressed me. When I left, the lady said it was like you had your private screening, which made me laugh when she said that. Uh-huh. But I felt like I was I can't remember which episode it was because I binged the Twilight Zone like 6-7 years ago. Uh-huh. And it's like one of the episodes where like you're the last man on earth. I felt like that's who I was. It's like the only person alive. I'm watching this movie and no one's communicating with me. No one want to go on the fucking date. It's just like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, maybe I can get blown, but fuck, I'd like to have someone want to be seen with me in public too, So things could be better, but things could be worse. I could be a guy that could never get laid. So that would be awful.
4,000 Clover says he's got a good story. He was walking his dog last week and he saw this woman. I swear she was wearing headphones. So told my dog, there's your future mom. And she heard everything he said. She didn't have the headphones on, but he still got the digits. Look at you, 4,000 Clovers. Man, you got more than enough Clovers. Pass those things around. Mule Skinner says you were privy to a private screening. And by the way, Heidi is in the chat room, and I met Heidi last week. Did we talk about this last week?
No. I think you met her on Wednesday.
Yes.
And then on Thanksgiving, you just said, I'm going to tell you the story, but we got on to other things. And so I haven't heard your story.
Here's the story. Heidi and I met downtown. We got a hotel room and we made passionate sex in love for like 3 days. No, it's the first time I got to meet Heidi Zimmerman, and she is a sweetheart, just what you would imagine. We had a wonderful meal. She gave me this bottle of really good stuff here, this mezcal, and we had a beautiful lunch together. We had great conversation. She's just adorable in so many different ways. And next season, when she comes for a Bears game, she's going to come in September when the weather is better. And so hopefully we can create a gathering with Dan. Hopefully you can come in town, and the Tooch, who's out in Iowa nowadays, and a bunch of other people, and get together with Heidi and a bunch of other people. We'll start planning that. I'll ask my wife to plan that, and if she heard me make the joke that Heidi and I had sex for 3 days, then she ain't gonna plan shit.
I would have sex with Heidi for 3 days, though. My God, Heidi is a beautiful, beautiful woman, and she sounds like Penelope Cruz. I love her voice.
She does, and but she's very, very, very smart about football, politics, entertainment. Just talking to her was such a great time. So and then Heidi says, good mezcals don't have a worm. Yeah, thank goodness. I don't want anything with the worm in it. But let's get to football here, because there's so much to talk about, Dan. So I want to get your impressions on the Bears Thanksgiving Day game, where I know you would have been in a really huge funk if they would have lost to that incredibly terrible team, the Detroit Lions. But was it satisfying for you? Because like in the open, I say they won, but I'm going to be miserable all week because they stunk. And that's how I've been. It's just been miserable knowing that the Chicago Bears might be one of the worst organizations in football. What are your thoughts?
Well, again, it beats the alternative. I'm so glad we're not sitting here talking about, the Bears, they lost to a team that was 0-10-1. Or whatever the fuck they were going into the game. At least we did. That's not what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's bare minimum, no pun intended, but at least we won the game. To quote Herman Edwards, hello, you play to win the game. So yes, I was happy that we won the game. I don't understand. I listen to a lot of radios you'll hear in the piece for the media sound bites and stuff. And there were a lot of people that were saying they were wishing for Santos to miss, or for there to be a bad snap, because they simply wanted the Bears to lose, thinking that somehow Nagy was going to get fired if they lost again. And you knew that wasn't going to happen, because McCaskey came out and denied the report, which I feel like a conspiracy theorist, but I am of the school that the report was probably accurate, which is why they didn't dispel it immediately. And just because it took on a life of its own, we better go. This is going to look bad on us, so we better go ahead and squash it.
Yeah, you got to wonder, because they let that report just sit there for a couple of days before George McCaskey came down and talked to the players and dismissed it. I got a soundbite from Eddie Jackson, the beloved Bear safety from the Chicago Bears, and this is what he said regarding McCaskey's visit to the team.
I feel like it was huge. It was a lot of distractions that week. A lot of stuff that was going on in the media, I guess. But for him to just come and clear it up, just give us a better understanding of what was really going on. I feel like everyone appreciated it.
Were you able to ask questions during that, or was it just kind of like an address and thank you very much?
Yeah, it was just that. Yeah, that's simple.
Isn't that weird? I mean, to me, if you're going to address the team, why not at least sit around and talk to some questions? We can't talk about 2022, but I just want to answer whatever questions I can about this season. But he just basically said it's a erroneous report, and thanks very much. See ya. That's fucking ridiculous. Don't you think?
I agree. Did you see I don't know the authenticity of it because I didn't hear the audio, but it was on one of those sites I don't want to even falsely attribute it. It was something, I'm not trying to mock the Bears blog. It was something like that, though. It was on a site that on its face doesn't have a blue check mark, if you want to, extrapolate it. But they had a quote from Cole Kmet.
Mm-hmm.
And Kmet, according to what I read, it was in the middle of the night, like 2 nights ago, basically said that some of what has been reported he personally witnessed. And he thought, how did this even get leaked out? So then the article was saying, what part is he talking about? Is he talking about like what Hub Arkush reported, that George McCaskey said, no, you're going to play the kid.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to play Justin Fields. And Hub says he stands by that. Of course, the Bears have denied it.
Right. Yeah, Cole Kmet met the media after the game yesterday, and he was asked if it was a distraction. This is what he said.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it was tough for me. A lot in your head after going right from Sunday into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then playing Thursday, and there's a lot in your head. You don't know what's true, what's not, and that was difficult for me. And you don't know what's going on, and at the end of the day, as players, we kind of just hunkered down on just this Wednesday night, and just put ourselves in a good mindset, and we were able to do a job today and get a win.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that article was referring to, but yeah, there are a lot of reports. I just saw who was it? I just saw the Factor said they even reported that some Bears players said their goodbyes to Matt Nagy at some point. Now, I had not heard that. So
I've read that too. They said that the reason that McCaskey came down was because when Nagy addressed the team, I guess it was Tuesday,
right?
Last week.
Correct.
That some of the players are like, okay, coach, we understand what you having to say this, but it's been fun. And like, we're shaking his hand and wishing him well. And no one believed him. I've seen those reports too, that when he was trying to squash it, that the Bears players were like, okay, you're just trying to save face now.
This is one of the biggest Bears fiasco. We talked about this last week about the Dave McGinnis non-hiring fiasco. I think that I
still blame that on Dave McGinnis.
Yeah, I don't know if
he should have been fucking thrilled. He went to the interview hoping he was going to get the job. So they told him, all right, we're going to hire you. He should have been like, all right, get the deal done. He should have been ecstatic to be the Bears coach.
But don't you think, though, Dan, if you and I had an agreement, okay, you want to come to work here and I want you to come to work here. All right, we'll finish the negotiations at our next meeting. And then you get into your car and on the way to the airport, back to your home, you hear that everything is signed, sealed, and delivered. Wouldn't you be pissed off?
I mean, not necessarily. Like, to me, like, I'm not contradicting you. I don't remember if they said he had signed a deal yet. I just thought that they announced that he was going to be the next coach.
Right.
So if you were on Mike North's show, for example, and you said, hey, Dan and me have something going and he's going to be full-time here or something, I'd be like, wow, he must really want me to work there. So I view it the opposite. I'm like, well, they really want me to be the coach. I just feel like Dave McGinnis fucked the Bears and fucked Dave McGinnis with his drama queen shit from 1999. Well, fuck you, Dave McGinnis.
That's funny. Well, I mean, I agree that you probably should have worked out a deal, but I don't know. I just think it was too premature, and just another example of how the Bears screw shit up. This organization,
I'll play devil's advocate again. What if Michael McCaskey, because he had worked here before, what if Michael McCaskey thought that he knew Dave McGinnis and had a relationship with Dave? And this is conjecture because Michael McCaskey's not here to talk to us. But what if he thought he knew Dave McGinnis well and was like, look, I'm going to say he's the next coach. We have a good relationship. We'll work the deal out later. Fuck it. He's our guy.
Yeah. So you're asking what if that would have happened?
I think that, in my opinion, if I was trying to think what possibly happened, that would be if I'm trying to defend Michael McCaskey in a screenplay. That's the way I would write it up. Because why else would he go out on a limb? This dude's not dumb.
Because he's an idiot. That's why.
I don't think so. We won a Super Bowl with him there. I mean,
he had nothing to do with that Super Bowl.
But he was still a part of it. It's not like he's a complete and utter idiot. I mean, maybe he wasn't, he had other people like Finks and stuff. I get it, but I'm just saying maybe he's been around, or he had been around, so maybe he thought McGinnis was trustworthy, and Dave McGinnis fucked him.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you're being really nice to the Chicago Bears. I'll tell you where I'm at right now with this Bears organization. I've defended it many, many times, but now I've gotten to the point now where I feel like they've lied to me about their competency, about their abilities to put together a winning organization. I am convinced now that George McCaskey has to go away and not have anything to do with the football team. They need to bring in a new chairman, somebody outside of the McCaskey family. I really do believe, and I know this is going to be almost impossible to do because I think that Virginia McCaskey wants to keep the team in the family. That was important to her and her dad. But I truly believe that we've reached a point here where this is the most disorganized organization in pro football. And I'm not sure we can ever win with a McCaskey leading the team. Now, of course, there are other McCaskeys on the board and they'll probably get their chance. And maybe one of them knows what to do in order to build a winner. But right now, I'm just feeling so betrayed by this organization. I'm really, really upset. Now, I'm not going to stop following the Bears. I'm always going to love the Chicago Bears. But right now, at this particular moment, I'm fed up with the McCaskey family, with Ted Phillips and so forth. I've defended those guys so much, but after this fiasco from last week, and as bad, there you go. The Tooches put up the graphic, the Chicago Bears cycle, and it just keeps going over and over and over again. It's the same fucking shit, and it always leads back to management. It's fucked up.
I agree with you on everything to do with the current day stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to waste any more time on 1999. But the last thing I'll say about it, the worst thing that the Bears did there was say that they were hiring a guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like they lied, and they could have said, "Oh, we haven't made up our minds." And he said who he wanted to hire. Like, to me, if that's the worst thing we can complain about, you say, he shouldn't have said it publicly yet, but he did. I mean, like, to me, that I just feel like those two situations are like, this one deserves a lot of contempt. That one, I think, was all because of Dave McGinnis's reaction. If Dave McGinnis would have been like, "Oh, I'm honored to be the next head coach. We don't have a deal. My agent will take care of it," no one would have said shit about it.
No, I disagree. I think in business, a deal is a deal when there's a name on the contract because you've agreed on the money. At that
okay, well, how many times have the Bears drafted somebody and didn't have a contract done yet, but that's their first pick?
Yeah, but that's part of the process. All 32 teams do that. They draft players. They don't have prearranged agreements with coaches. That's a different thing. These guys are independent employers. There's no you don't draft coaches and you're kind of stuck with the coach that you drafted. You can negotiate with anyone. So McGinnis probably thought, you know what, and he did get a head coaching job somewhere else, didn't he? If I remember,
Arizona, and he was awful.
And he was awful, right? So the Bears were spared of how bad he was. But I just think that you don't make an announcement. You don't. In fact, in that video, his wife is quoted as saying, we were told, we told them that we had to go back to Arizona and talk to certain people like the Bidwell family and so forth. And I'm paraphrasing some of this. And we were going to have an opportunity to, do certain things before we moved forward. And so that's part of what went wrong there. They just lied to Mr. and Mrs. McGinnis about their employment, but it's just typical of the Bears, man. It really is.
I agree with that. It does seem like there's a dark cloud around the Bears, structural, organizationally, all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you. Listen, I want to get to this media report that you put together, brilliantly put together, and because there's a lot of things that I want to react to there, but I want to hear the professional broadcasters talk about it first.
Can I set up one of the clips first, though?
Please do.
Okay, now this is to someone like Zimmerman, who was born, in the early 90s and not taking any shots. I mean, but there's going to be a reference to the 1996 Jacksonville Jaguars in here. And if you don't know the story, that's what I wanted to paint, the picture. See, John Yurkovich played for the Packers and then Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
So when he was with Jacksonville, he keeps trying to come up with optimism. That segment was the day after Thanksgiving. They actually worked, Carmen and Yurko. And Carmen was like, where are you getting this optimism from? And Yurk says, because I lived it. So he compares the Jacksonville Jaguars in 96 were 4-7.
Mm-hmm.
All right. He said, you take one win. He said, we were getting ugly wins. He had an example of, they won by 1 point, they won by 2 points, they won by 3. But suddenly they started stacking wins up out of nowhere. And he said they were barely scoring any points. And they go from 4-7 to 9-7, and they made the playoffs. And in the playoffs, they beat Buffalo on the road. And he gives an example. He says Clyde Simmons had a pick six. Like, Clyde Simmons had a pick six? Yes. So weird things start going your way. And then the next week they go to Denver, who was 14-2, and they beat Elway in Mile High. And John Elway cried after the game.
Mm-hmm.
So they went to the AFC Championship game, and they started out 4-7. And that's what Yurt kept saying. Like, we were a bad team that had, suddenly just got momentum. We got a win here by 1, an ugly win here by 3. And before you know it, you've suddenly won 5 games in a row. He's just like, it could happen.
Mm-hmm.
And because I just wanted to give you that context. So they go from 4-7 to 9-7 and made it all the way to the AFC Championship before they lost to the Patriots, who went to Super Bowl 31 and lost to Green Bay because of Desmond Howard's kickoff return for a touchdown.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's the context. York is going to be referencing the 96 Jaguars. And if you didn't know what he was talking about, you'd be like, what the fuck is he talking about?
Yeah, and that's about halfway through this 15-minute clip. And it's 15 minutes, Dan, because I added 2 more radio clips from today, I think they were, or maybe yesterday, regarding the Fire Nagy chants that are just spreading like wildfire. I think Cap at one point said that you could even hear Fire Nagy at the Vatican. He said, joking around. So here we go. Here it is, another Dan Aguirre production of local media reacting to all of the Chicago Bears news from the last few days.
Seemed pretty clear that Joe Buck and Troy Aikman did. Before they got out of there, they wanted to tell you how great Matt Nagy was and how he needed to play Andy Dalton because that gives him the best chance to win. To win what, Joe? What is he going to win? Win a Super Bowl? No. Be above 500? Probably not. Win a playoff game? Come on, man. So what exactly is Andy Dalton supposed to help them win? When they scored 16 points against the Lions and the dumbest coach in the NFL. They threw up the graphic of what the team was scoring with Andy Dalton and what they were scoring with Justin Fields. And guess what it was if you averaged it out? 16 points. This offense has not worked. And what Matt Nagy has offered you is excuses. The excuses are, I don't have the right quarterback to run my system, or this quarterback can't run my system. And what they keep doing is they keep blaming it on that. First, it was Mitch Trubisky's fault because he doesn't know this system. He didn't grow up in this system. He doesn't have enough experience in this system. So what do they go and do? They go get you Andy Dalton. Nick Foles, because they're the same person. They go get you Nick Foles. Nick Foles came from a similar system with Doug Peterson, who was an assistant where? In Kansas City with whom? Matt Nagy, right? Foles tells them, yeah, I've played in this system, and we can't block it the way that you want to. They don't go and try to do something different or make the offensive line better. They just bench Foles. They send him to the land of the number 3. And they gave you Andy Dalton. So what is it more likely? That all 4 of the quarterbacks are so terminally flawed that you're stuck doing this thing where you score 16 points a game? Or a coach who doesn't know that his system doesn't work without really special players.
I don't feel bad. It's because his boss doesn't believe he's doing his job. And if that's the case, then he gets fired. Matt Nagy or any head coach of an NFL football team sits in their office and they tell at least 30 guys every year, yeah, it's the end of the road here. And they fire players. And that player is supposed to leave and pick up where they can and try to make it work somewhere else. Difference is that when the player signed that 2-year deal or that 3-year deal, he doesn't get it. Once he's released or cut, or however you want to put it, or fired, he doesn't receive that money. If they fire Nagy, he's still going to receive the rest of his money. Zero sympathy for a coach because they're going to get paid anyway. So, and they'll get another job. As far as what was swirling around Chicago, when you're at a Bulls game and the Bulls are getting beat by 30 and they're chanting "Fire Nagy," it's reached that point. Honestly, it's reached the point where it's like, well, what are we doing? He was coach of the year when he first got here, his first year, and was tricking everybody. It was cute. I use the word cute. It was cute then when it's 4th and 1 and you go 4 wide and you run a double reverse pass and it works. Well, that stuff don't work. Not in the NFL. It doesn't work very long. So now you got to play football and you got to actually come up with a scheme and adjust at halftime, and he doesn't do well at that.
Yeah, the short explanation here is the Bears and any other team that would dismiss a coach during the season or inform him that he's not going to return after the season would have the ability to interview coaches in the latter weeks of the season. I believe it's 16 through 18, correct me if I'm wrong, but great opportunity because, and this is a change in the rule in conjunction with the Rooney Rule, I believe, but basically the idea is to incentivize interviewing playoff-bound coaches where you're not stuck holding off because some team is going to the Super Bowl and their offensive coordinators, such as Eric Bieniemy. That's the perfect example because the Chiefs have been in the Super Bowl the last few years, and teams have not had that golden opportunity to sit down with him. Granted, I don't know if the Bears want to hire another Chiefs offensive coordinator, but that's just an example of somebody they could sit down with now in the latter weeks of this season. And it basically incentivizes teams to fire a coach during the season. Look, we've heard all along that the Bears don't fire coaches during the season. I don't know if that necessarily means they wouldn't. Like, all we know is they haven't done it in 102 years. There have been examples where they probably should have, such as Trestman at the end of the 2014 season. John Fox knew he was a lame duck really for most of that 2017 season. The Bears haven't done it yet. I don't think they're necessarily opposed to doing it.
Did you boys happen to hear Tyler Aki's conspiracy theory?
What is it?
The source of the inaccurate report could have been Matt Nagy, knowing his only way to survive the Lions game on a short week was if he leaked the report that he had been told that he was being fired, that this was his last game. The Bears would be so embarrassed that they would have to allow him to coach out the season.
Wow, that's interesting.
I'm going to laugh when Matt Nagy survives this whole thing. Carm, I'm painting a scenario of positivity. It's not an exceptional football team, but they've been in enough games this year where I could say, hey, they could be somewhat competitive. Carm, you don't know what happens, man, when you start to believe. When that doubt kind of gets dissipated, and it might just be the one thing that needed to kickstart them. Oh, it takes what, Carm? A spark to get a fire going, right? This is the Bears spark with 10 games to prepare for Arizona. That's the spark. Yeah. 10 days to prepare for Arizona. And if you're a Bears fan, you sit there and you say, I can't be excited about this. In the next 2 weeks, all of a sudden you find yourselves at 6-7, and guess what? The mojo starts to happen, and they'd start walking with a little bit of strut in their step. Maybe a couple of balls get tipped in the air and some interceptions start happening. You got to believe you're better than you are sometimes. I will exude positivity for the next week until what?
Until they play Arizona?
Until they crap the bed in one of the next 2 games, and my joy and my happiness will be over.
I don't know what it's based on, though. You're basing it on what? I mean, you're basing it on let's just try to be positive.
I'm basing it on the fact of personal experience.
They're awful.
I'm basing it on the facts of personal experience, Carm. I played on a crappy football team that couldn't get out of its own way. I played on a defense that only gave up 10 points and found a way to lose the game because Mark Brunell, though he threw for 500 yards in the game, Threw 5 interceptions in the game, 1 return for a touchdown. Found a way to lose 17-14 that specific day. And then all of a sudden we won 1 game. And then we started to build a little bit of momentum. In January of 97, do you know who scored a touchdown for the Jacksonville Jaguars?
January of 97.
Against the Buffalo Bills.
The playoff game?
The playoff game. Dare I say it was Clyde Simmons? Screen, interception, return for a touchdown.
I don't remember that.
Clyde Simmons, yes.
That's good.
That's how we got to 30,
That's
Carm.
how you got to 30?
We found a way. We chipped away.
That's
we
good.
got it done.
That's good.
Created a fumble, created some opportunities.
I don't know where you get this stuff sometimes.
I'm telling you.
I can't believe anybody could
find a way
possibly
to be excited.
that the Bears won 16-14.
Because there's a chance.
In Detroit yesterday.
We won 5 straight games, Carm. Look at what we won by. 3 points, 2 points, 1 point. We won at the end when Lageman forced the fumble. And in overtime, the little Mikey Hollis kicked the field goal at Metropolitan Stadium in Baltimore that hadn't been used in 20 years. We found a way, Carmen, is what I'm trying to tell you.
I walked away yesterday completely embarrassed as a Bears fan.
Hey, Keith, what's up, man?
Oh, I want to ask a question because I'm not a Bears fan. I've been living in Chicago all my 59 years. Do you all think that the Bears have the personnel and it's the coaching? Because changing coaches is not going to improve anything if the team doesn't have the personnel.
I don't think they're blessed with amazing talent. I don't. I do think there's more talent there than they show. And when you are a head coach in his 4th year, right?
Yes.
Okay. Your offense has ranked 27, 28, 30, 31, or 32. 4 years, you've never had a top 15, top 20 offense. Never. At some point, it's got to blow back on the coach if you're an offensive guru.
That's obvious.
Let's go to Justin in Dallas. Hey, Justin, what's up, man?
Hey, Cap Hoodie. I don't think Nagy is going anywhere. Nagy came out and he addressed it, but he sound cocky like he always does. Like I said, we beat the Lions. That means nothing to me, and it shouldn't mean anything to them. Yeah, it's a win, but you ever notice how when we go on these long losing streaks, we come back and we beat the Lions, and they're happy. Okay, we beat the Lions. We're back in the win column again. As sad as it is, I was rooting for them to lose because I actually thought change was going to come. But it's not going to come.
Yeah.
It's not going to come until Ted and George leave.
Justin,
I'll let y'all marinate on that. Y'all have a good one.
You too. Have a great week.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Justin.
the call. I believe Matt will not be the head coach next season. I don't see a scenario where he keeps his gig. I don't.
And you guys broke it down very clear. There's no reason why he should be back here next year. And then when it comes to the quarterback situation, hey, if Dalton gives you the best chance to win, go ahead. I got to be honest. I was a fan of the kid, wanted to play the kid. This line may not be able to protect the kid. I don't want him to get any injuries that's going to be career-defining injuries or anything like that. So, yeah, you can let Dalton finish out the year. But, I mean, the kid should be in line for the future. So, definitely we need to get someone better. I like some of the suggestions you guys have been throwing out there, but I like Byron Leftwich. You know, I think he's in line for a head coaching job soon. So, yeah, we got to make change.
Hey, man, have a great day. Appreciate you.
Okay, Space. Thank you.
I don't want a coordinator who's never been a head coach. This is the free, as you like to say, it's a big boy market.
Yep.
It's time. Let's go get a big name.
Whatever you think the top shelf is for coaching in the NFL, get that person. That's all. Just keep in mind, though, the whole thing's about the development of Justin Fields. Mm-hmm. That's what it all comes down to. We had a caller earlier that asked whether or not the Bears have enough personnel to win. Is it Matt Nagy's fault? Well, yeah, it is. On both sides of the football, too.
Just one other thing. Yeah. Okay. Like, what has been the problem with this team the last 5, 6, 7 years? What has been the problem? Our offensive line. That has been the problem. Not our defensive backs, not our linebackers, not our defensive line, not our wideouts, not our tight ends, not our running backs. Okay? It's been our offensive line that's been the problem year after year after year. And if we had an offensive line, we might have been in the playoffs more, and we might have won a world championship if we had an offensive line, if you had a general manager that knew what the hell he was doing and how you build a team through the draft. Am I not correct, Dan?
There's no question about it.
You build the team through the draft.
You have to.
This guy gives all our draft picks away.
And then wait. When you go sign Allen Robinson, you sign Robert Quinn. hey, you're spending a boatload. You got to draft these players and have them become core individuals on the football team their second, third, fourth year when you're paying them virtually nothing. You can't keep going to the free agent market and breaking the bank.
You guys just elevated.
Build the team through the draft. Before you do that, you got to get rid of Pace. You're going to trust Pace after 7-8 years. You're going to trust this guy to go somewhere in the United States of America to hire, again, another coach?
They're not.
I wouldn't trust them to flip an egg.
It's got to be a package deal. They talked about collaboration all last offseason.
Look. That rule is
that's so laughable.
It's a
collaboration.
Fire Matt Nagy chants are like everywhere. Hawks game, Bulls game, obviously Bears game, high school football game where his kid's playing and he's sitting there as a fan of his child. And now the Illinois game.
I made a small list, and you nailed a number of them. Bulls Heat, I heard it on Saturday. I heard it on this past Wednesday before Thanksgiving at the All Elite Wrestling Show.
Oh, that's
in
right.
Wintrust.
I forgot that one.
I was at AEW, and they were chanting that during the matches. Like, wait, there's a match going on. You're talking about Fire Nagy. And then last night, after the Bulls took care of the Hornets, I'm watching the Illini game, and all of a sudden I hear in the distance Fire Nagy chants in Champaign. It's traveling all over the land of Lincoln, Cap. Everywhere they're chanting Fire Nagy. And I'll tell you something, Cap. I know that you like Matt personally because he's a good guy.
He is a great guy.
But it just shows you how the fans feel about what's going on with the Bears. What a dumpster fire the Bears are when you're getting chants in all these different venues, hockey, pro wrestling, college basketball, the NBA, and all these different venues. They all have one voice, and that is to get rid of Matt Nagy. That says a lot for the power of the people.
One more.
I also wonder what the actual effect is on how the Fire Nagy chant has sort of become a meme, and whether or not people feel strongly about Matt Nagy. It seems like in crowds, people who are even vaguely Chicago sports fans just think that's a thing that you chant right now. I compared it earlier in the show to like Save Ferris, that it's something that just is said. Does that matter? We get back to what happened with the Bulls on national TV with the All-Star Game weekend and everybody watching and the Fire Garpax chant and people putting up signs and all that. Is this ownership, are the decision makers so cloistered in an ivory tower, even though he talks about wandering through the South Lot and going through all the tailgaters and all that. They could hear it if they want to. I don't know if they want to. Do you think they care?
It's hard, Dan, because I do think that they sometimes take public perception in a way that they don't like to let us in on. I think they do care about that stuff. On the flip side, whenever I think that, I remind myself that this is a team that if they really care about public perception, why do they always trot out the most hated member of the franchise every year at the end of your press conference? So, if they really, so maybe they care, but they don't get it.
That is so true. They don't get it. Let's do the end of the year press conference and let's get out there. George McCaskey and Ted Phillips and Ryan Pace, the three most hated people in Chicago.
Do people really hate George, though? I think they hate Sweaty Teddy, as they call him. And
yeah.
I think they hate Pace at this point. But I think everyone, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it seems like we all kind of think George really loves the Bears, though. And
oh, yeah.
So I have no animosity toward him. I want him to make the right decision, but I don't think I have no vitriol for him.
No, and neither do I. And I don't have any for Matt Nagy. I just want him to get the fuck out of town. But the thing with McCaskey is I think a lot of fans are feeling like I do, is that we're starting to feel betrayed. We're starting to feel that there is an ineptitude about what this organization does that you just can't deny anymore. I mean, I've had friends who, I got a good buddy named John Roach. This guy's a screenwriter. He's written some movies and stuff, and he's a huge Packers fan. And 20 years ago, he told me, you know what, Aldo, you guys are never going to win because it's an organizational issue. It starts at the very top. And I'm like, fuck you. They have nothing to do with football decisions and so forth. He goes, you don't get it. it just permeates. It just seeps from the top down all the way down. And it's true. Like that, Don Pompey wrote a really good article about the need for the Chicago Bears to get an executive of football operations, somebody that the general manager would report to. But then, as somebody pointed out on the John Buffon and Tyler Ellis debate show earlier today, but then you're stuck with who's going to hire this executive of football operations. It's still going to be Ted Phillips and George McCaskey. They don't have a track record of finding good football minds. And then they rely on people like Ernie Arcosi. They rely on the Steelers, their competitors, for advice. It's like, come on, man. I mean, Dan, I am absolutely 100% positive that if they entrusted you and me to find the next general manager of the team, that we could do a much, much better job than two very successful people named Ted Phillips and George McCaskey. I know we could.
I won't go that far.
Oh, shit.
And now we're starting to sound like a different show.
But, shame on you.
No, but I'm not qualified either. And maybe it's proven to be that they aren't as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's disappointing. If we could circle back just a moment to the audio.
Sure, please. Yeah, I got notes on that stuff too. Go ahead.
It feels like even though they won, the story is still Nagy. And that's not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they did start to win a few games, I don't know if it's disingenuous the way who was that? Dan Bernstein that was suggesting that, like, he was comparing it to Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yes, Dan. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like that. I feel like most people that are saying it because they're fed up, and it's because they've watched all these games. It's not just because it's a social movement.
Correct. I totally agree with you. It is because now there are just doubts. I think you did a brilliant job of the Alex Brown soundbite was absolutely 100% correct. And then you followed that up with sound that kind of supported what he was saying. But Alex says that in his rookie year, he came up with all these gadget plays and everybody was excited about the trickery. And that's how he was surprising the league. But then everybody kind of found out there was no more surprises in the following year, 2019. Everything that Matt Nagy ran was scouted on over the offseason, and that Bears offense became so predictable, and he was never able to change. He had personnel that could run the I formation and be a running offense, but he wouldn't do that because of his ego. And I think that fans see that. A lot of times people say, you can't fool fans, you can't fool the voter, you can't fool the customer and so forth. And a lot of times that is right. You may not be able to always articulate what is going wrong here, but you can see, this guy's an idiot. This guy doesn't know what he's doing, and he's too stubborn to realize it. And I spend a lot of time listening to these press conferences, and I'm tired of the cliches. I'm tired of the obfuscation. I'm tired of the bullshit lying. I'm just tired of it. And again, I think fans feel that, they sense that. I don't think there may be mob mentality when people are cheering Fire Nagy. People just join in on that. Like Kevin Fishbane was sharing a story on the Score Sports Radio that he was a part of the Maccabi games in Boston years ago, and he didn't know anything about the rivalry between the Red Sox and the Yankees, but he was in Boston and people started chanting, fuck the Yankees or Yankees or something, and he started chanting along despite the fact he had no idea about the rivalry or anything like that. So that happens. Sure, that happens, but for the most part, the core football people, fans of football in Chicago, they know that there's something going wrong here. But a lot of people, are overlooking Ryan Pace's buffoonery, Ryan Pace's bad choices. They're excusing Ryan Pace's poor roster management, and that is something that I will not let people do. People point to a couple of draft picks here and there, Roquan Smith and so forth. Guess what? Fucking Roquan Smith was anybody could have picked him. When you have the 8th pick of the NFL draft, you better fucking get a game-changing player. It's the Kevin Whites. It's the Mitchell Trubisky's. It's those other picks that he had early on, and then giving up on Leonard Floyd. These things are inexcusable. Fucking inexcusable. It's time that people realize that Ryan Pace is just as bad as Matt Nagy.
I agree with that. He's probably got to go too, but we all think that he's more than likely going to help out with the stadium and stay with the organization, which in hindsight, fuck it, man. I'm okay with that if he relinquishes his general manager role. And I don't know, but I also wanted to point out in that audio that Lawrence Holmes has been on fire.
Yes, he has. Good stuff.
I cut out him talking there with Alex Brown and with Chris Emma because I didn't want to have like 12 minutes of Lawrence Holmes. I'm trying to make it equidistant, with different shows.
Yeah.
And I thought he did a tremendous job breaking down like, Nagy said it's not his system, it's Mitch's fault. But no, it's Foles' fault. And Foles tells you it's the line. Actually, I heard you smirk when he said that, and I was like, I agree with you because I think you were agreeing with the line that he said. No pun intended with offensive line. But at the time, I heard you go like a little laugh when he said it. So I thought wasn't that you or was that Tooch? I thought it was you.
That was me. Yeah.
Yeah. So. And then you go on to Andy Dalton and Mitch. I mean, it's always somebody else's fault. I thought that was just so dead on that he's always deflecting to somebody else. And I think that's his biggest downfall, his inability to say it really is on me. And he would say, I think if he were here, well, what about the times I said, Bill Lazor could call the plays? That's because he knew that there was an outcry.
Right.
He's trying to satiate everyone else from being against him at that time, placating them. It's like he had to do those things. It's not like he wanted to do them. He's so done. Like I hope what Jurkovich was saying could actually manifest for us. I really would love to see that, but I don't think it will. Like, I mean, do you have any faith? Even if they would upset Arizona? Shit happens.
Sure.
The Bears could play well and suddenly upset Arizona. I know Arizona's having a good year, but am I convinced that they're going to the Super Bowl? No. Because, I mean, look what they were last year. We made the playoffs because Arizona shit the bed the last few weeks of the season. So they're very capable of upsetting Arizona, in my opinion. It could happen.
Sure.
But do you have any faith whatsoever, even if they win, that they're going to win in Lambeau?
No.
I have none.
None whatsoever.
I mean, I would love to see it.
Oh yeah,
but they never win.
I'm going to be rooting for it. Yeah, but
right.
I mean, I'm a fairly smart guy. I mean, I still haven't lost all my senses due to drinking and alcohol or drugs and stuff. So I can see that this team. I mean, how are you going to win? In my opinion, how are you going to win any of the games against top opponents, teams that are 500 or better, the rest of these last 6 games? How are you going to win without Khalil Mack? How are you going to win with only one decent starting cornerback? How are you going to win with a safety combination that is afraid to tackle on 60, 75% of the plays? How are you going to win when you have an offensive system that everybody in the league knows what is going to happen, that it's totally predictable? How are you going to win with A-Rob playing on one leg if he plays at all? How are you going to win with those other backup wide receivers who are just journeymen in this league? How are you going to win with all of the things that are wrong just with the roster? And then when you get to the coaching part of it, the head coach, to me, I just can't see. I hope that they win out, and I hope that they get into the playoffs, but it's not going to sway me. It's not going to sway me that they have to blow the whole thing up.
Oh, I agree with that.
Yeah,
I do.
They do. Now, if Okay, I'm talking out of my ass here, but
no, I like it.
Yeah,
keep going. Give me your passion.
If they go ahead and win games in the playoffs, then maybe I'll consider. I want to see the quality of the victories. I don't want to see victories like the one against the Detroit Lions. No offense, Don Burr, but those were two gifts. Dan and I sat shoulder to shoulder, and we knew that the fucking Lions screwed up in the red zone multiple times. They should have had touchdowns instead of field goals or turning the ball over and losing points.
Going for it on fourth down instead of kicking multiple times.
Oh my God. And then on Thanksgiving, calling timeouts back to back. And then, going over to the referee, why are you calling a penalty? And then after the game, Dan Campbell is like saying, yeah, we did it on purpose. Yeah, you fucking liar. Because that organization is just awful. The Bears should have 2 wins. That win against the Cincinnati Bengals, I thought, was a good, solid win. But everything else that they've won, the other 3 games, I think those easily could have been losses to the Raiders and the 2 Lions. I can't imagine, I can't fathom that they are going to have a chance against the Cardinals. I don't know what the spread is, but I'm going to throw a fucking $100 bill on the Cardinals to cover if it's 10, 14 points, because I can see with my own eyes that this team is fucking awful.
I could see them beating Arizona before Green Bay. But hopefully I'm wrong on that, because if you ask me which one I'd prefer Green Bay. Of course, it's a divisional game, so it's more important, and it's our fucking hated nemesis. So to me, even if you said you had to lose Arizona just to beat Green Bay, I would say, okay, let's do it. But obviously Sunday I want to win when we're watching it. But I don't know, man. Like I said, to me, Arizona hasn't proven anything yet. I could see them faltering and losing a winnable game. I mean, we're not talking about a team with a track record such as Aaron Rodgers, where they just beat us relentlessly over and over and over. But if you're going to go in recent history, the last decade plus, we always lose to the Cardinals at home and beat them in Arizona. Mm-hmm. In recent, the last 4, 5, 6 times, whatever, the last time we beat them at home, that's a good question.
Yeah, that is
maybe
a good question.
Cordell Stewart started in 2003 with Dr. Phil Atoshin's favorite, Brock. What was the little white running back's name?
Oh,
Brock. So the Brock something.
Brock.
I think he wore 22 as well, which is Phil's number.
Yeah. Brock Forsey.
That was Forsey. Forsey.
Thanks, Dooch.
Brock Forsey and Cordell Stewart beat the Cardinals. And I think, I'm just pulling this on my ass, I think the Cardinals were represented that day by Jeff Blake at quarterback, but I could be wrong on that. But that's the last time we beat them at home, I think. See, that was 03. 06 was the Denny Green game where we won in Arizona. 09, they kicked our ass and with Kurt Warner at Soldier Field. 12, Cutler beat them in Arizona. 15, we lost here again at Soldier Field. 18, we went there and beat them with Mitch. Sloppy game, but they won.
Awful, ugly. Yeah,
but they got it done.
They did.
So over almost the last 20 years, the Bears lose here and then win there. So it's our turn to lose here. But again, we can reference Cordell Stewart, the last Bears quarterback, to beat Arizona in Chicago. How about that?
So, like Laz says, the Bears have no defense against a 9-2 Arizona team, especially without Roquan and the other defensive starters. So, how are you going to win without Roquan and Khalil Mack? Your two
is Roquan definitely out?
No, he's not. But based on what Nagy said in the press conference, it didn't sound good. He made it seem like it's going to be a week or two, talking about hamstrings can take a while and so forth. And so maybe he's just making it difficult for the Cardinals to prepare, but I don't think so. I mean, heck, even if he plays, he probably won't be 100%. Hamstrings are fucking tricky things. I hate the fact that he got injured, man. I really fucking do, because this is one of the few good things we've got on this team. And I really wanted him to finish the season and get the respect that he deserves from the NFL as one of the top players in the league. You know, the fact I mentioned this on the Bear debate show prior to this one, the fact that he was not recognized by his peers when they picked the top 100 players in the NFL, that's bullshit, man. I don't understand why. I do understand it. You know what happens a lot with these fucking voting things? A player receives a ballot and they just give it to their girlfriend or their cousin or their nephew or their little brother or their sister, and they fill it out, which is why you get all these weird rankings on stuff. I used to, when I worked in broadcast TV, one year I was asked to volunteer for the judging of Emmy Awards. And I saw that whole fucking process. You know, it was the people who were judging who was going to win an Emmy Award were fucking interns, production assistants, people who the 4-person could get to stay late after work to watch 3-4 hours of fucking videotapes. It's all bullshit. But Roquan is definitely deserving, but I don't think he'll play. Let me see what I got in terms of sound bites from today's press conference with I gotta go back to Bo Jackson. He was talking about playing for Nagy, you know, and all of the bullshit that Nagy's had to endure. Listen to Eddie Jackson here.
Coach Nagy had our back since the first day he walked in here, so I feel like we owe it to him. And I feel like a lot of players feel the same way, that we owe it to him. And we owe it to Chicago to go out here and play our best ball. And like I said, it's tough, you know what I mean? Even though nobody's going to show it, but I'm pretty sure that's like we come to your job and boo you every day or whatever the case may be, you going to feel some type of way. Just like the fans. Like we come to y'all job and boo y'all at what y'all doing, how y'all going to feel about it, you know what I mean? So for him, he's still human, and we still human. Nobody likes it, so we just continue to fight. You know, like I said, just block out the noise, continue to do what we do.
I appreciate what he is saying there, but how does he expect Chicago Bears fans to express their frustration if it's not booing? Do you want us to come with weapons to Alice Hall or something? I mean, it's the traditional way. He didn't experience that at Alabama because Alabama gets to fucking pay for the greatest football players in college football. But I just don't get it. He's got to accept the fact that fans are going to boo. They pay their tickets. They're going to express it. There's no else. I mean, Dan, when you're pissed off at the Bears, what do?
If I'm at the game, I'm not booing, but that's just me.
What?
It doesn't. I would bitch to you or to whomever I'm with. Like, can you believe this fucking shit? You know, but I'm not going to stand up and boo, but that's just me. I'm not opposed to anybody else who's doing that. That's just not how I express myself, but I verbalize it to whom I'm with. That's just me.
I noticed that.
Doesn't make me good. Doesn't make me you all villains. I'm just saying that's not the way I express it, but I get it. And frankly, it's warranted.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like I paid for a fucking ticket. You're not playing well. I'm not going to sit here on my hands. I'm not just going to stay silent. I'm not going to whisper something to the person that I'm with at the game. I'm going to boo. You fucking suck, you know? And don't take it personally, Eddie Jackson, Matt Nagy. You know, you're being paid millions of dollars, and that's part of the job.
I agree with you. I just said that's just not what I would do.
I get you. And I used to be like you. I used to have the attitude of your team is like your spouse. It's like your child.
Exactly.
Would you boo your wife? Would you boo your kids if they did something bad? And then after a while, I'm like, well, but how are they going to know that I'm pissed off? How are they going to? I can't correct them like I do with my child. I can't sit down and have a talk like with my wife. I gotta express it somehow. So fuck you, Matt Nagy. Fire.
The only thing I could do, and this has happened. This has happened. Not that my little purchase would have mattered, but 2 different times. Like once they finally got the white jersey, the real white one, not the fucking 36 throwback one.
Mm-hmm.
The real traditional white road jersey. They finally got it back in stock, and it was in my cart. And I almost bought the Fields white one that I've been wanting, but I didn't get it. I was like, fuck it, man. They've lost 4 in a row. Fuck them. I'm not buying this jersey.
Yeah.
And then it was 5 in a row. And then they had a sale, a hooded sweatshirt that I liked that was marked down to like $35 before shipping because of this big Cyber Monday thing.
Right.
You know, the sale. And I was like, fuck it, I'm not giving them $35 or $50 after the fucking shipping and handling or whatever. I'm not giving them my money. They don't deserve it. So that's how I guess I talk, is with my little purchases. They could have had $200 of mine with the jersey and that hoodie, and they don't have it. That's all I can do.
Heidi says,
because if I were a season ticket holder, there's no way I wouldn't go to the games. I heard a guy on air with Cap and them.
Right.
He was a PSL guy.
Mm-hmm.
He said he had to pay $20,000 for I guess he's got 3 seats or whatever to be a PSL owner, and you have to pay it in one installment. So you're going to tell me that this guy should just say, fuck it, I'm not going to the game, man? He's dropping 20. God damn.
Fuck that.
That's a fucking car payment. You know?
Shit.
I mean,
that's a car.
yeah, that's a used car. That's what I'm saying. That's you could buy a car for what he's paying.
Right. Heidi says that she's just like you, that she would not boo. She'd bitch and curse, but not boo. And that's cool. I'm not saying that you're wrong for doing that, but I know, just like when you go to a game and you want to hear the fans chant defense, defense, and you want to be quiet to help out the offense, and you're trying to help the team win. Well, right now we can't do anything to help the team win other than boo, other than not show up, because that's the only way the Chicago Bears management is going to listen to our discontent. If they know that Dan Aguirre, who usually spends hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars in paraphernalia every year, is not purchasing anything right now, you know what? They're going to go, well, Dan is a good barometer. Dan, you know, that means other people are not going to buy our shit. And they make a lot of fucking money off of that. And they make money from the beer at the stadium. And they make money from the purchases at the stadium and all that shit. So we have to do something. I truly believe, when we were working so diligently here at the Bar Room on our Fire Fox campaign, I'm not saying that they fired John Fox because of that, but I believe that because we joined the throng of fans who were leading those chants, I do believe that it sealed the deal with them moving on from John Fox. And I think we as fans have to voice our opinion, so that way there is no doubt that at the end of the season there are going to be some dramatic changes with this organization. And hopefully it's not just with Matt Nagy, it is with the general manager and maybe even higher up. That would be great.
I agree. I mean, I think if they lose a few more games, you remember at the end of Fox's run, they had a game on Christmas Eve when Kirk Cousins came in with Washington and just ate us up.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the big story was he was coming home back to Illinois, and the stadium was probably a third empty.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of that was dictated by the holiday, I think, and the fact that they were so horrible that year.
Mm-hmm.
But if they continue, you know, basically, well, we can beat Detroit, but nobody else, you know, they're probably going to lose, you know, 3 or 4 more games before the end of the year. So let's say when the Giants come in,
mm-hmm.
week 17, how many people are going to be at that game? I think it could be the same scenario, because it's going to be cold as shit probably. And then you got 2 teams that are more than likely moving on from their coaches and that are just dreadful. And so I think that's when you, like everything you just said, the beer prices, the parking, all that stuff, you know, and you have a half empty stadium, I think that they're going to be like, man, this guy's got to go. I think that's what the McCaskies look at, bottom line, other than the winning. I think the old lady, and I say that with the utmost respect,
mm-hmm.
because I like Virginia, and like I hope that she sees another title before she dies.
Me too.
But I think that she's a big fan. I think the ones underneath, I could see the Bears underneath her selling the team after she dies.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think she'll allow it. But I think she's motivated by wins, but the rest of them are probably motivated by the dollar. So if they start seeing like the half empty stadium, third empty, especially when you only have 60,000 anyway, that motivates them to make a change, in my opinion.
Jimmy K just had up here that he flies in from Philadelphia for almost every Bears game. And so the flight, the tickets, the game tickets, hotel, food cost him over $1,000 a game. So fuck it. He's going to boo as much as he wants, and good for you, Jimmy K.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you, man.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask him a question then. You say his name's Jimmy?
Jimmy, yes.
So Jimmy, did you come to Chicago for the playoff game when Philly and the doink and?
Oh my goodness. Can you imagine a poor guy and then having to fly back to Philly with a bunch of Eagles fans? Jimmy, go ahead and respond to that question. We'll read it out loud because Dan is unable to see the chats. But yeah, were you here? That would be outstanding to know. That I went to a Bears Eagles game in 2017. That was the year Trey Burton scored a touchdown, red zone touchdown on the Bears, and I think it convinced the Chicago Bears that Trey Burton
was that a Monday night game?
Yes, it was a Monday night game.
Oh, that's the game where Cutler got picked and
yes.
Yeah, the asshole McPhee was talking shit from his dress clothes.
That's right. That's right.
I watched that on TV. What a disaster that was.
Oh my gosh. And what was even worse were the Eagles fans that were there. There were all these fucking alpha males and just like begging to get into a fight with anyone that would tell them to shut the fuck up and so forth. And I was there with just me and my little nephew and stuff who's 4 foot tall. And I'm thinking, I better not get into a fight because my nephew's not going to back me up here. So I had to listen to all this bullshit all around me. I hated it, man. And the Bears looked awful. Jimmy K has not responded. I think he's flying back to Philadelphia in disgust.
He's fed up with the Bears, even their conversation now.
That's right. Matt Nagy addressed the media yesterday, and so obviously the topic of playoffs came up because they're only one game behind in the playoffs, and so this is what he said.
The big thing for us was to make sure that we snapped that losing streak. And when you snap that losing streak now, you come back in, you reset, and now you got to start back to 1-0. Now you get to start with one of the best teams in the NFL coming off a bye week. That's a heck of a challenge. But when you break that losing streak, the mentality, it just helps you. That's just natural. You feel better about it. So no matter how it comes, and so to see that you're one game out with all those teams that are in that mix for that last spot, I don't care who you are. If you're a competitor, you care about that.
Show that to your players or talk about it at all?
I have not. I think for us, none of that really matters. And again, this isn't coach talk, but literally we need to let's win this game and then let's get on a 2-game winning streak. You know what I mean? Let's have a little streak here. And if you go out and you play a great game and you beat a great team like the Cardinals, what that can do for your confidence, and your belief, and then all that other stuff handles itself because there are a lot of teams in that mix. And there's a lot of things that we can't control. What we can control is winning on Sunday.
Does it make you look at the end of the Ravens game and the end of the Steelers game and be like,
yeah,
and wonder how things would be different if those?
Yeah, that's again for every team in the league. All these teams are. You look at it and you say, man, if well, the ifs don't matter. We didn't win those. We lost them, and so no matter how we lose them, no matter how we win, our record right now is 4-7. And the goal is to be 5-7.
Dan, when you hear Matt Nagy talk, describe your feelings. What's going on in your mind and your feelings?
With that soundbite, I have to be fair to him. I think he was saying, I don't think he was saying anything what else could he say there? Yeah, we've lost some games, but at least you just stop everything and now we can't do it. So even if that were Ditka, is what I'm saying. Like he's got to say that, hey, we had to win one game. Now we're going for 2. Now we're going for 3. Whatever. We got to take it one game at a time to get back into this thing, and we got to be fair to him. What would we want him to say?
Well, what did Ditka say after the Washington loss?
Oh God, we may never win another game again here. Fuck it, we're terrible. Yeah, okay. I love Ditka. There you go. That's why I didn't want him fired. I didn't want him to go ever.
He was fucking honest. I'll tell you that. Unlike this guy.
Man, I love Wani too, but yeah, Mike Ditka was just. There's a reason he's an icon here, and we can cite all the reasons. Maybe he's part of the main reason that they didn't go back to back or whatever. But still, man, he did give you honesty. But I'm just saying, what would we want Nagy to say there? Truthfully, what could he say?
Well, maybe he could say this. Listen, I'm aware that we're only a game behind in the playoffs, but so are like 10 other teams. So I'm not even considering that, I'm not even going to go there. What I want to tell my players is they need to play for themselves and each other. We won one game. Now we need to go out and win another game and only be focused on that. And to play, to put good stuff on tape for yourself and your future, and play to have fun, to go out there and to win a game and have fun, because you create great friendships when you're winning. When you're fucking losing, you're not going to like one another. So talk about that and about the personal stuff. But like tons of people in the chat room are saying, this guy just loves to hear himself talk. This guy just talks in circles. This guy talks for a long time but doesn't say anything. And all that is true. And I've tried to give Matt Nagy the benefit of the doubt. But to me right now, he's like, fuck, man, I can't think of anyone else right now that repulses me more than Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace.
The guy fucking my ex-wife.
The guy fucking my ex-wife is a better friend to me than
there he is.
I don't know, man.
No, I think in that individual soundbite, I think I agree with the assessment of everything you just said about Coach Nagy. And yes, he does love to hear himself talk, and he loves to just beat around the bush and all that shit. But I do think in that one scenario, he was just saying like what any coach would say at that time. But maybe not Ditka. You're right. Maybe Ditka would say, do the Jim Moore and be like, playoffs? Are you fucking kidding me? We're 5-7.
Exactly.
We're 5-7. Playoffs. We're just trying to win a game.
Yes, exactly.
He did say that in '89. We're just trying to win a fucking game.
He did say that, indeed. Bear Truth 9 says, what about, how about he says, how about we have to win, bottom line? I suck. My coaches suck. Players, good luck. Enjoy your day. So, yeah, keep it simple. And, it is, somebody today, I saw this a couple of places today on social media and in the Bears chat for our earlier show, where people were saying Matt Nagy would make a great college coach, because in college it's all about rah-rah and it's less about scheme. And with his offense, that is something that's pretty simple. He could probably win. I wish he would get a job like at, Notre Dame. I like Notre Dame, so but I don't like him that much that I'd be pissed off if he got the job over there. I just think he's better suited to coach young guys who will respond more to the rah-rah stuff, because clearly he does not have the mental capacity to scheme and to be a head coach in the NFL. And I was thinking about this today. Dan, let me know your thoughts on this. This whole Andy Reid coaching tree thing, fuck that, man. That doesn't fucking mean shit. Matt Nagy was over there. He coached quarterbacks. He lent his opinion in meetings. He called 6 games. And in the playoffs, he fucking ruined the Kansas City Chiefs' chances and Alex Smith's chances to win a Super Bowl because he would not fucking call run plays. Sound familiar? And so
right.
he so it's not like Ryan Pace, saw Matt Nagy and said, wow, this guy's got a great portfolio of stuff. He's been calling plays for years. He's had great success calling plays. He's had great success mentoring quarterbacks. I mean, who the fuck did he mentor? Alex Smith was already Alex Smith before Nagy was around there. He had nothing to do with Patrick Mahomes' development. Patrick Mahomes.
The only thing we could say, and this is just a fucking pulling this out of my ass, Nick Foles was beaten down and ready to retire.
Yeah, that's
when
true.
he was in Kansas City, and allegedly the Chiefs motivated him to want to play again. Maybe Nagy was a part of that. Obviously, we know what he went on when he went back to Philly and had the Super Bowl run. So someone at Kansas City deserves some credit for motivating Foles out of his depression, but that could have been Reid, though. I mean, it doesn't mean it was Nagy.
You mean Alex Smith, not Foles?
No, Nick Foles. Nick Foles was
you said Kansas
third
City
stringer.
You said Kansas City.
Yeah, he was in Kansas City as a third stringer after the Rams. I don't know if he ever made it on the field, but Nick Foles was in Philly, in St. Louis, Kansas City, and I think he got cut and he went back to Philly. But part of his growth, he was ready to retire.
I didn't know
Foles.
that.
Yeah, Foles said this when he came to Chicago. He was ready to retire and got motivated again when he was in Kansas City. And maybe Nagy's a part of that. Maybe it's all Andy Reid.
Yeah.
But his experiences with the Rams were so bad with Jeff Fisher that he was going to quit. And he went to Kansas City. He was a third stringer. Like I said, I don't think he ever officially took the field. But that motivated him, and he went back to Philly, and you know what he did.
Yep. I agree with the factor. It says Andy Reid gives the title of offensive coordinator to his coaches to help them get hired. He did it with Matt Nagy, and he's doing it again with Eric Bieniemy. I do agree with that. I think Andy Reid is, a great guy. He wants to support his assistant coaches. He wants them to get jobs, and I think he kind of likes the turnaround. He likes bringing in new coaches because he it's his system. And so he teaches his coaches how to run his system, and they have some input, of course, but it's really all about Andy Reid. And so his way of repaying these guys is to give them fancy titles, let them call a few games and stuff. But I don't see Andy Reid being a coaching genius, and for that matter, probably the greatest NFL head coach of all time, arguably, the guy from the Patriots, Bill Belichick, his fucking coaching tree sucks too, right? I mean, who the hell has come out of there and won titles or even division championships? I can't think of any.
The most successful he's had has been Vrabel with the Titans.
Oh, yes, you're right.
And Vrabel hasn't been there that long to overall be a success, but in his short tenure thus far, he has been successful.
And Vrabel was a coach with the Patriots too. He just didn't play over there, right?
I honestly, I know he played. I don't know if he coached there or not. I'm not certain.
I don't know either. Now, GCA in the chat room is saying Josh McDaniels, but Josh McDaniels had one shot at head coaching and he got fired.
Sucked in Denver. He sucked.
That's right. And Matt Patricia was a disaster with the Lions. Ask Don Burr, according to the factor. Jimmy K is back, and he said that he did attend that game with the Eagles and Bears. So he's
the only Bears playoff game with the Eagles that we want to be at's the Fog Bowl, even if you couldn't see it because we lost to them in 0-1. If you remember the last game ever at the old Soldier Field.
Oh yeah,
when McNabb sodomized us on the field. It's like, why not put a spy on him? If Urlacher's young and can run like a fucking deer, why not have him spy on McNabb all day? But whatever. That game and then the double doink game, it's just, man. There was a time when Philly couldn't win in Chicago. Remember that? They said the Eagles have never won a game in Chicago.
Yep.
And now they win every time they're there.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm feeling, and I've been talking about this the last 2-3 years. Like I was never a fan of Mitchell Trubisky. I thought he was a second round draft pick at best when he came out, but I knew that if he didn't work out for the Chicago Bears, that we were fucked, that we would have to start over. And I'm glad that we got Justin Fields, and that might be a correction, but it still sets us back because we're getting rid of draft assets. If Trubisky would have been the guy, then we could have used that first round draft pick this year to supplement what's going on. We've got an aging defense. There's so many fucking questions on this team. So you have to bring in leadership that is adept, that is confident, that is capable of taking a sinking ship and fucking patching it up and getting it to fucking float, and not only float, but to win fucking games, because that's where we're at. And I think this is going to be a 2 to 5 year process for the next general manager coming in. I mean, what are we talking about here? Khalil Mack? What's he got left? You've been preaching for the last 2 years that he was underperforming for a superstar. You think he's going to come back?
He just sold his house.
That's right. He sent me that. He sold his mansion in Glencoe, I believe. He still has a condo in downtown Chicago, but that is a little weird when you sell your house and you've been injured. He's probably got a lot of time on his hands. That's why he's playing real estate agent or something.
Can I interrupt you just one
Please.
second? And I just reading a story on the phone, and I'm trying to clarify if this is like Otis Anderson that was the MVP of the Super Bowl. Football fans woke up to tragic news this morning when they learned that Otis Anderson was shot and killed by his father and his mother, Denise. No, his killed by his father, and his mother Denise was also shot. Jacksonville Sheriff's Office said that the shooting occurred around 9:30 on Monday night. The footballer, who fans dubbed Juice, was taken to the hospital, but he passed away from his injuries. The primary suspect in the case is Anderson's father, Otis Lee Anderson Sr. Wait a minute, is that Anderson the MVP? Is he the killer?
I don't know. I'm looking at this on Twitter now. It's Otis Anderson Jr. He's probably the son of the Otis Anderson, who.
So Otis and the Super Bowl 25 MVP allegedly shot and killed his own son. Is that what we're saying?
Oh my gosh. That is wild. That is wild. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's why I was like, Otis Anderson shot and killed. And I was like, whoa, wow. And then, but wait. This is from Glenn Beck's fucking website, though, The Blast. Let me go. Isn't it his site, The Blast?
I think so. I don't know.
Let me go see if I can get a more credible.
I don't follow Mr. Glenn. Yeah, I don't know, man. Either way, I can think of some people in Chicago. No, I better not say that. That's The Blaze, says the two. She's not The Blast. The Blaze is Glenn Beck's.
Otis Jerome Anderson is the dad. Okay, so this is not. That's not the same Otis Anderson
who played with the Cardinals.
Yeah, and the Giants and Super Bowl 25 MVP.
Right.
So he did not shoot his own son. That's a different OJ Anderson. Thankfully, it's not.
The factor says Denise Anderson told police that the shooting took place after her husband was bitten by Anderson Jr.'s girlfriend's dog, causing all three to get into a verbal altercation. Yeah, that's where was the stat that I read is that most murders occur between family members. Yee, that's why I stay away from family parties, man. I want to live. That is wild.
Anyway, I thought it was OJ, or I wouldn't have interrupted the Bears talk. I was wow, Otis Anderson got killed, and then I was like, wait, he killed somebody, but it's not the same Otis Anderson.
Yeah.
Okay.
So listen, I want to get your thoughts on Justin Fields. So they haven't announced who's going to be the starting quarterback Sunday against the Cardinals. I got a feeling it's going to be Andy Dalton. They're going to be very cautious with
what's going to be more orange, Dalton's nasty beard or the jersey? Since we're wearing the orange jersey Sunday.
Oh, we are.
Yeah, we're wearing orange on Sunday.
Oh, I think that will look cool with that guy's got a great head of hair, man.
But but his beard is so like he should shave his beard.
Yeah, that needs to go. But do you think that if Fields is cleared to play, and the doctor says there's very little chance of aggravating those cracked ribs, what do you think? Should he go out there against Arizona? Or should
I'm a meatball fan, and perhaps if he's not healthy, he shouldn't play the rest of the way. But the meatball in me says I want him to go to Lambeau. I want him to experience that in a hypothetical scenario. This could be his only time to go up there to play Rodgers. Even if Rodgers beats him by 21 or whatever, it's part of the learning process to know what this feud is about.
Mm-hmm.
To know what this rivalry means, because we're on the wrong side of it.
Yep.
And we have been since Ditka left. So I would love for him to get that experience and go play Sunday Night Football at Lambeau Field and give the Orange Beard the Sunday game against Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me. Nagy was asked, is there any danger of furthering injury? By the way, Toa Hang has an interesting thought here, so I'm going to interrupt myself. Toa says, what about you reuniting Ryan Pace and Sean Payton? Let's say Sean Payton wants to leave New Orleans and the Bears are going to pay him. He's going to demand $10 to $12 million a year for 5 years. Would you be good with that? Sean Payton.
Former Chicago Bear, one of the spare Bears.
That's right. Yes, Scab Bear.
He was if you're for unions, he crossed the picket line. I mean, he's done okay. I mean, they did win the Super Bowl there. So there's a lot of controversy around that Super Bowl.
Yes, there is.
A lot of eavesdropping on the other team's headsets, the Bounty Gate. There's a lot of smoke where there's a bunch of little fires there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you told me he was a little bit overrated, I would agree with that, but he's probably better than anything we've had. Although Lovey beat him to go to the Super Bowl,
mm-hmm.
Point that out. Fuck. I almost wish Harbaugh would have lost to Ohio State so we could just bring Jim over, but I know you don't want Harbaugh, but.
Well, I actually softened on that a bit after watching that Michigan-Ohio State game. I thought I felt like sorry for him that he had not beaten Ohio State and so I don't have a lot of confidence in him as a head coach for an NFL team. Now, I know he had a lot of success with the 49ers and going to the Super Bowl and all that stuff, but I just feel like, I don't know, his style of coaching rubs me wrong. But Saturday, watching him win and how happy he was and so forth, I melted a little bit, and feeling sorry for Jim Harbaugh the same way I felt sorry for him when Mike Ditka balled him out on the sideline for the audible.
The Roller Dome.
The Roller Dome, that's right. Lots of interesting stuff here. Stephen Nagishi says John Schneider of the Seattle Seahawks, the GM over there, he could become available. He thinks Seattle is going to have major changes, and him being with Green Bay before, perhaps he could come over here and be the next GM. You got any thoughts on John Schneider? You know much about him?
I don't, and at this point, I'm willing to listen to anything. You can tell me that Otis Anderson didn't kill his son, and he's going to be our new general manager. And I'm like, okay. Mm-hmm. He's got to be better than Ryan Pace.
I agree. I totally agree. Now, John Schneider, he gets tons of credit for. He signed Matt Flynn to a big fat contract. He was the backup quarterback for the Packers. I remember,
and then Russell outplayed him and got the rookie starting nod.
Right. The textbook way of how to deal with that. Bring in a veteran, but don't fucking give him the job. Actually, he was announced as the starting quarterback. But as soon as they drafted Russell Wilson, as I think on that very night of the draft, day 2 of that draft, Pete Carroll said, yeah, we changed our mind. It's going to be an open competition now. And because they liked Russell Wilson so much, and they didn't want to just hand it over to Matt Flynn. And that's what the Chicago Bears should have done with Justin Fields and Andy Dalton. Imagine if Justin Fields would have been given 50% of the snaps with the offense with the number 1 starters. He would have been much, much more better prepared to play in the NFL after Dalton went down with an injury. Or maybe he would have even started the season at quarterback against the Rams. All this talk about, don't throw him up against the Rams and Aaron Donald. Fuck that. So he's a man. He's an athlete. He's a quarterback. Go out there and play. And that pissed me off that Dalton was handed the job without a quarterback competition. That's just ridiculous.
You know, I got a different – this is veering off to another topic quickly. Okay. But you mentioned that someone getting a deal based upon like one game, one performance. Usually when that happens – that quarterback is not successful. Rob Johnson got a big contract because of one game. God help me out here. There've been Scott Mitchell, but Mitchell was okay in Detroit.
he had some good,
4,000 yard seasons.
There you go.
But usually, if you get a contract based upon one game, that guy ends up shitting the bed.
Yeah.
Like Matt Flynn. That's who you were referencing. He had one big game in Green Bay, and suddenly he gets a deal. And usually when you get a deal based upon one game, you're not very good. Mm-hmm. Can you think of one that was really good based upon one game?
Nope. I can't.
Maybe Jeff Hostetler? I mean, he won the Super Bowl. Of course, he beat the Bears and the 49ers, but he didn't really have to do much in either game. But he played well in the Super Bowl.
He did.
And that kind of led to him getting his Raiders deal a little bit after that. I mean, he was never as good as he was in that little run with the Giants, but he was still solid, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
He was a good veteran.
Yeah, he was.
But most of the time, if you're a quarterback who gets a big deal based on one game, you usually aren't very good.
I totally agree on that. I totally agree. And now we're in a situation where, you've got a guy who is showing all the tools to be a top-notch quarterback, but you've got a coach that you can't trust to develop. And it's pretty obvious to me that the Chicago Bears management, they made up their mind about Matt Nagy. I do believe that there may have been some truth, not to the fact that he was going to be fired, he's going to be told that he's going to coach Detroit and then get fired afterwards. But I do think that there's this smell in the air that the Bears are going to fire him so that they can get a jump start on looking for coaches. And the only thing that's going to stop them is if they're also going to fire Ryan Pace. I really, really believe in it. Everybody that says, well, they haven't done it in their history. And again, I've said this now for the last month. George Halas coached this team for 50 years. He wasn't going to fire himself. He wasn't going to do it. And so maybe that started a tradition. But I don't think that this current Bears regime is going to follow that. And I also think that, for Matt Nagy's well-being, don't you think it's a good idea to fire him? I mean, what he's going through now and what his son had to go through and his family, and he probably can't go to McDonald's without,
it's ironic he's advertising for them, right?
That's right. I forgot about that. I mean, I don't you think just for his sake, he should be told, hey, you're getting a nice little severance check here. You're going to be paid all of next season for not coaching. So
yeah, I agree with that. It's almost like there's got to be another comparison with a player that was just so unpopular that it's like, God, just
Jay Cutler.
Well, Jay kind of retired, but then Miami brought him out of retirement. Remember, he was going to go do broadcasting.
Yeah, he fucked up.
But yeah, he should have done that. But maybe Trubisky's a better example. Like, it was time for him, just for his own sake, to get away from this coaching staff.
That's a better example. You're absolutely right. Yep.
Yeah, just like, God, just for his own well-being, get him away from Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace. And if Mike North is right and DeFalco is wrong, then he's going to get a big deal somewhere next year, and we'll see how that plays. But I think Mitch with another coach could be much better than Mitch with Matt Nagy. So I think him leaving is almost a mercy kill.
Yeah.
Like $1 Million Baby. Remember that movie where Eastwood kills Hilary Swank?
Yeah. I remember.
Out of mercy. Yeah, it's kind of what I was, like you said, Matt Nagy at this point, it's a mercy firing. Please just God, go somewhere else where you're not hated. Go back to Philly or KC or wherever.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. I totally agree. Hey, Bear Truth 9 says, would I trade Khalil Mack for a late first-round pick if Khalil is healthy and somebody's willing to give up a first-round pick? Hell, fucking yeah.
I hate to say that because, I think if the Bears are going to be good in the short term, they have to have him back next year, and he needs to be playing well, like he was playing well this year before he got banged up.
Yeah.
And so you'd like to think if it's not going to be a total like Chicago Cubs rebuild, like where they just start from the ground up again, which led to a title, mind you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't want to lose, but you still think we can hopefully turn it around quickly, then Khalil needs to be here. But if someone offers us a first-round pick, that'd be hard to turn it down unless it was like Green Bay or something.
I just do not see how they can build a winning team next season, even if Khalil Mack is healthy and Robert Quinn comes back and has the type of year he's having this year, and Roquan Smith. So you got 3 defensive studs, but that's not enough. That's just not enough.
And we got Bruce Irvin now. I think Bruce Irvin could play well coming up when he gets his opportunities. If they finally fucking play him.
I think there's
that guy has sacked a lot of quarterbacks.
But I think there's a reason why he hasn't been playing much, because he's no good anymore.
For the rest of the season, I think he could play well for us. Maybe I'm wrong.
I want to see young, promising players take the field. No, that's the problem. We don't have any.
Well, no. 99 has done well.
Yeah,
Gibson.
Yeah, there's definitely some young guys that you want to take a look at, and John Buffon was saying, yeah, but the Bears won't do that. This is a general manager and a coach who desperately need victories. So why are they going to put their futures in the hands of promising players that they've drafted when they're probably going to lose? Why should they take a look at them for the future if their future is contingent on them winning games? So they're probably going to throw out the Bruce Irvins and all these old veterans in an attempt to try to win games.
Well, give Dick Duran credit, because at the end of his run, when it was, he needed some wins at the last 3 games of the year, he started Rex.
Mm-hmm.
He actually won 2 of those 3 games too. but his livelihood was on the line. But when Cordell Stewart got picked off at Lambeau, it was one of those situations like, God, if we could beat Arizona and we'll be in the same situation we were in 2003. It's like, okay, if we win against Green Bay, we're back in it. We're back in it now. We're in a playoff run if we can just beat Green Bay. And then late in the fourth quarter, about to score, Stewart got picked off. And that's when they said, fuck it, man. We're starting the kid Grossman next week because we're done. I hope that doesn't come down to that this time. We beat Arizona, then we can just go get our hearts ripped out by the Packers again.
Oh, man. What I wouldn't give for the Bears to beat the Packers in 2 weeks. I mean,
you remember the 0-2 game? I think I've referenced this one on air before. The 0-2 game was so weird. Like they had Mr. Arrogant Jim Miller at the half-yard line about to score. Like, I don't know if it's first down, second down, whatever, but you're at the half-fucking-yard line. He fumbles the snap at the half-yard line, and we don't score. And then our draft pick from 0-2, somewhere in the middle rounds, that Roosevelt, whatever his fucking – not Roosevelt, Colvin, the slowest man I've ever seen. He picked up a fumble and he ran it back like 70, 80 yards, and anybody else, including Ted Washington, would have scored except this guy. And he never played again after that. Like, I have to look up their draft picks in 0-2.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay. When you say his name, I'll be like, that's him. He's the slowest member from a secondary that I've ever seen. That should have been a touchdown, and Jim Miller's fumble should have been a touchdown.
That's funny. So it was 2002 draft, right?
Yeah.
All right, so let me look at Roosevelt.
Not early on. He was like fourth or fifth round, maybe third.
Roosevelt Williams, the cornerback.
That's him.
From
the slowest man in the world. Like, other than me and Keith Traylor and Ted Washington, this man is slow as we are.
That's right.
My God. I mean, like, if you could find that play.
I will look for it. People are talking about Tevin Jenkins because it's important to try to take a look at him to see if he's going to be able to play left tackle and so forth.
No,
so
I say no because if you have Fields in there, you need to protect him the best you can.
Yes, I agree.
Borum's doing okay at right tackle, and Peters has been our best fucking lineman all year.
Right. Well,
there's no way at the expense of Justin Fields I'm putting in Jenkins, but if it's Andy, okay. If you get hurt, pal, we'll put Foles in.
I know, isn't that mean of us to think that way? But it's true.
He's getting paid $10 million. Fuck it.
Well, but the thing is that Andy can do a better job of protecting himself than Justin. Now, this is something that I said the opposite early in the season, but Andy does know how to get rid of the ball more quickly, and he does sense the pass rush. He's able to pick up blitzes. He's seen every type of blitz there is, and Fields is still learning that. So you don't want him learning that with a rookie who has not had a preseason of practice with this team protecting his back. This is Matt Nagy talking about Tevin Jenkins' role if he does come off IR and it is eligible to play the rest of the season, which I think the decision was today or tomorrow. But here's Nagy.
Probably the biggest thing is with Tevin's situation is now that you're into the season and where we're at, we just keep an eye on how our offensive line is doing and how they're going. You know, Jason Peters, I think, has done a really good job in so many different ways. At right tackle with Borum coming in and doing what he's done, he's helped us out with injuries that we had to Fetty. And so, you know, I think for us, we always just kind of we be prepared for if this guy gets injured or if we feel like this guy's not playing well, kind of play it out those two ways. But right now we feel good with where we're at. So if anything, it provides major depth for us. And then we just, you know, play out the scenarios.
So in other words, Tevin Jenkins is only going to play when somebody gets hurt and they need a fill-in. That's what I heard.
Yeah, I agree with you. I should have put the audio of Ed Obradović. He basically says every week that Cody Whitehair, Sam Mustipher, and James Daniels are so bad that they couldn't start for any of the other 32 teams in the league.
I disagree with OB.
He says the interior line is the worst in football, the worst that the Bears have ever had.
No, I disagree. You know what? All the respect in the world for Eddie Obradović. He's one of my childhood heroes. But I think that there are a lot of people who watch Bears games and watch very little else. And so when you make a statement like that about the interior of the offensive line, clearly you have not seen some of the other teams out there that have really, really much worse offensive lines than the Chicago Bears. Now, I'm not saying that those guys have disappointed. That interior, that was supposed to be the strength of this offensive line. And it appears like the tackles, the last few weeks anyways, have been playing better than the interior of the offensive line. But they haven't played that bad. And fuck, Andy Dalton had a lot of fucking time to play, to sit in the pocket and throw against Detroit. Now, again, it is Detroit. Sorry, Don Burr. But, the offensive line to me is – I see that they're improving week to week to week. So I don't know what he's talking about. Did he say that recently, Dan?
Yeah, he said, I had some of it in the piece there when he was like that the Bears would have probably won multiple playoff games during Nagy's run if the offensive line wasn't so fucking dreadful.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, it's been the worst part of this team for years now, and Ryan Pace has done nothing to fucking address it with high draft picks or anything. He's like, you draft a guy with a bad back, that's your answer. It was a slap at the line, but it was more or less an overarching fuck you to Pace.
Well, those guys really, really fucking hate Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy.
And Nagy. Oh, my God.
I mean, do you know what this has done to Dan Hampton? It's driven him to drink.
It's made him drink. Yeah, he had a DUI. But give Dan credit. He was charged early in the week, and he still made his show on WGN.
Yeah. And interesting that WGN made no mention of it. No mention of it. They didn't suspend him for a game or a week, or, they didn't say anything on air. Do you think that's right? Or, because it's his personal life? Or do you think that WGN had an obligation to either suspend them or at least make mention of it?
I hope that they don't suspend him. I mean, maybe they should have acknowledged it just because it's 2021 and that's the way things are. But I mean, the dude's going to pay. He's going to lose his license. He's going to have to pay a shit ton of money to get him reinstated. It's going to cost him like $5,000 to get his license back.
Yeah.
No, that's not a lot of money probably for Dan Hampton, but for the regular average Joe, that is. So, I mean, he's going to pay for it and probably going to have to serve a small amount of jail time, if not take a DUI class.
Wow. If he has to serve jail time, you think WGN will hide that too?
I don't know. I'm sure they would. He could do it in the off season, but he may be able to, because he's got a history, but none of his DUIs were active. He'd already dealt with them, all of them. If he had like more than one that was active, he'd be really fucked. Like those can turn into felonies. But I think he will probably, I said, have to take like a traffic class, which he has to pay for. He'll have to put the breathalyzer in his car at his own expense. He'll have to get it removed at his own expense. All this stuff, and it piles up.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's already going to lose $5, $6, $7 grand out of his own money. Like, why do we have to suspend him on that? He's already fucking cussing himself.
Yep.
Because he's got enough money to hire a guy to drive him around. He's Dan Hampton.
I know, it's weird.
He's already pissed at himself. Like, why should he? It's like what I was saying about Gruden that night. Why does he have to go away forever now? So I hope that Dan does not have to go away. I hope they don't fire him after this season. Well, you drove drunk. You remember McMahon got pulled over, had a DUI in the late 90s after he'd retired. Maybe it was early 2000s.
Yep.
He allegedly told the police as soon as they pulled him over, he was like, okay, fuck it, you got me.
Yep.
He's like, you got me.
Which
he told him immediately.
Which is a really good way to get good treatment from the cops when you just admit it, man. Yeah, I did it.
No, I agree.
Don't try to lie to them or anything. Bear Truth
don't
9.
Lie and call them sir, and that's all. And you'll go so long.
Yep, exactly.
Just don't have an attitude.
Bear Truth 9 wants to know if we could make 3 total offensive pickups in free agency and draft this offseason to build around Fields. What would you do and keep it realistic? And Bear Truth 9, I totally agree with the approach. You've got to – this offseason is about helping Justin Fields be the absolute best quarterback he can be. So you've got to solidify the offensive line. I disagree with OB. I think you need to re-sign James Daniels. Let's remember, I think the kid is like 23. This guy is ascending. He's not descending. He's had some bad games, but I think he is capable of being a really good offensive guard for this team. He could actually, I want to say that I think James Daniels could actually become a better Kyle Long. He just
who got activated today, by the way.
Oh, really? Good for him. Good luck, Kyle. But I just think that Daniels doesn't have that mean streak that Kyle Long has, and that's what the Bears want. That's what Juan Castillo wants. But I would love to see them retain James Daniels, and then outside of that, you got to hope that Jenkins and Borum are going to work out at the tackle positions, and then you've got to find a stud offensive lineman. I'd have to do some studying to answer your question in a good way here, but I'm thinking.
Could you try Daniels back at center again?
And I wouldn't be adverse to that. I would not at all be adverse to that. But I can tell you this, 4K, you need to get rid of guys before you can start signing guys. You got to figure out some trades where you can expunge some of the salary cap, create some more cap, and then go after free agents. But in my mind, I want to build through the draft. I want to start accumulating tons and tons of draft picks. And I saw I think it was a report in one of the local newspapers that since Ryan Nagy joined the Bears, Ryan Pace joined the Bears, he has had almost 20 fewer draft picks than the New England Patriots and the Green Bay Packers and some of these other teams, because he's traded so many of them and because those other teams have become so adept at picking up compensatory picks. That's how you build a team. That's how you build depth. That's what the Chicago Bears should be doing to spend so much money on a Khalil Mack and draft assets on a Khalil Mack when you don't have your quarterback yet, when you don't have offensive weapons and protection for your quarterback. To me, that's not doing it right. Build from the line and get offensive weapons. Let's make sure that we get Justin Fields everything that he needs so that we don't make the same mistake with him that we did with Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler didn't have any weapons here until Brandon Marshall and Alshon Jeffrey, two head cases. There were 2 head cases, right?
And Martellus too. You're talking about a third one.
And then they already had Matt Forte. That was fucking awesome. That fucking 4-headed monster of offense was fantastic. And that's what we need.
The defense sucked then.
Oh my gosh.
If they could have had Lovey's defense with that offense, then we probably win a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Yep.
Like the 2010 team, if Jay doesn't get hurt and you have that if Brandon Marshall's here then, but that kind of leads to my next question about current day. I think we can both agree that whether we want this to happen or not, Robinson's probably gone at the end of the season. We're not going to franchise him again. He hasn't had a good year for whatever reason. I'm not saying he's tanking or anything, but he just hasn't had a good season given his contract. And I think he'll be gone. So then the question is Darnell Mooney a number 1? And I don't know that. A, he's kind of small and frail, and 2, he's had an enormous amount of drops this year after having won all of last season. It seems like he's had probably 10 drops this year.
Who are you talking about?
Mooney.
No, I just checked this out. Officially, I was shocked when I saw this. Officially, he has 2 drops. Isn't that weird?
Maybe a bunch of his drops are coming back on penalties or something.
No, okay, here's the thing. I looked it up because I was shocked when I saw that it was only 2. I thought he had 2 against Detroit on Thanksgiving.
Alone.
Yeah,
right.
But he was accredited with 0. And the reason why is because the service, I think it was ESPN that I was reading from their website, they only count a drop when the defender is nowhere near the receiver. And so that they're like, so that one pass, the very first pass thrown to Darnell Mooney, where he's doing an out to the sideline, it hit his hands and he dropped it. And the defender was on his hip, but he didn't touch the ball or anything. Mooney should have caught that. But ESPN is saying because the defender was so close by, you can't say it was a drop because he disrupted the pass. It was a pass defended. I don't get it, but it's true.
He's had a lot of 50-50 balls that he hasn't brought down.
I agree wholeheartedly with you.
I don't know if he's ready to be the number one receiver. So we're talking about what would Fields need in 2022. He's probably going to need a number one receiver.
I agree.
Because A-Rob's going to be gone. He's going to be happy. You're taking the cuffs off him. He's going to go wherever the fuck he wants.
Mm-hmm.
And who else do you have?
Right. And it's one of those things. A-Rob right now is considered the number one free agent. Chris Godwin is and Devontae Adams, they're really considered 1 and 2, and then Robinson. Those all three of those guys are going to demand money that the Bears can't afford right now. So
I think Adams goes wherever Rodgers goes.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. So you're looking at guys like Juju Smith-Schuster. You're looking at Sammy Watkins.
You don't want Sammy Watkins.
No fucking way. You're looking at some old guys, and you look at some younger guys. I mean, it's really after those top three guys. DJ Shark is a guy from Jacksonville. He's had some injury problems and so forth, but he's a guy that I would take a chance on. But yeah, you're not going to bring in anybody who has a track record of success because they're all too expensive or too old to really give you any promise that they're going to play as well as they have. Like what's the guy's name? Emmanuel Sanders. He's a free agent. He's been around for a long time. But I just, it's a fucked up situation. This is a 2 to 3 year rebuilding plan. And so that's why I'm at a point now where if you can get draft assets for Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn, I would blow the whole fucking thing up and start over, man.
What if let's say Nagy did get fired. What if A-Rob was like, fuck it, I want to stay now? Wouldn't that be something? Like if his whole, because maybe he's part of that story from last week with the guy that does the podcast with him. So maybe his main beef, maybe he thinks that Nagy was holding back Mitch and is holding back. So maybe he's like, fuck, if we got a real coach here, I would stay, because you can't tell me that Robinson wouldn't be happy to play with Justin Fields.
Yeah. Hey, Kevin White was released today, according to somebody in the chat. Do you think the Bears?
I think he caught a touchdown pass somewhere.
Did he? Because he never caught one with the Bears.
I know he didn't catch it. I think this season he's caught a touchdown somewhere.
Oh, hey, guess what, man?
John Santucci.
He is ready to join us. Let's take a look at him here. Look at how handsome he looks. Holy shit. Johnny Santucci.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening. I was bringing you in at a good point. Just when I need to take a piss, it's your cue to come on in and hold it for me. To talk to Dan. So talk to Dan about whatever you guys want to, and I'll be right back, okay?
All right. You
hear me, Tooch?
Oh, yeah. I hear you now.
Good. Let me throw this at you real quick. I saw on Sunday, I don't know if you heard me say it earlier, I saw that Gucci movie.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, it's got Al Pacino in it, and Adam Driver. It was fun, man. I liked it.
Is that HBO Max?
No, I saw it in the theater. I like going to the theater.
Right. I have not seen it. I did see I watched another sports movie, which is the Halle Berry MMA movie. I believe that is on Netflix. It's called Bruised. And boy, she's 2 years older than me, and she is in phenomenal shape. She took a beating in that movie.
So did she come across as a legitimate MMA star in it? Like, was it miscast?
Oh, I thought she did a great job, man.
Cool.
I got a question. What's my feeling on trading Khalil Mack for a late first pick? I don't think they'd get a first round pick anymore. I'm not sure his value is, and one the enormous contract, and then is he still a good defensive player? Yeah. Is he still the dominant player that he once used to be? I don't know. a lot of it's probably due to injury, but he's also aging, an aging veteran as well. You'd be lucky to get a 3rd round pick for Khalil Mack, I think. Yeah, I agree with Toa. I'm not sure what the Rams gave up for Von Miller. I think it was a 4th round pick. Yeah, and I last week I gave out, the Lions plus 3.5 that paid off. Bears still got the win, so you'd win your bet, and then the under, that was easy money. What was it? 30 points scored in the game, or 33 points in the game. So,
right.
Yeah, easy money. I've been monitoring the chat room and stuff while Aldo was working the show, producing the show. Lots of comments in there, man. How would you feel if Nagy was back next year, Dan?
I would feel defeated before the season even begun.
Yeah. I think most Bear fans would feel, defeat before the season even started. So it has to be a foregone conclusion that he's gone after this year. There's no way he's coming back. I thought it was interesting, the little tidbit that came up that perhaps it was Matt Nagy that leaked, the story, the story that we had before last week's show, which was Matt Nagy will be fired after the Detroit game, which was ridiculous on its face, that, they would tell Matt Nagy, hey, we're letting you go, but why don't you coach one last game?
Right.
That was a ridiculous story. I think the guy who broke the story, Mark Conkle, he wrote a follow-up piece. I don't know if you saw it, where he said, hey, I spent 20 years building this source, inside of Hallis Hall. And did I get sold a bill of goods? Maybe. So really, I don't know what went on, but the fact that the Bears had to come out and say, oh no, he's not getting fired. I think someone or something forced their hand, that the McCaskies had no choice, whether it's true or not, whether he's not getting fired. That would be in line with Bears past, that they don't fire coaches in the middle of the season.
What if he goes to Green Bay in a couple weeks on Sunday night and gets humiliated?
Oh,
get fired then.
That would certainly open the door for the McCaskey family to launch Nagy. You're talking like a Tressman style 50 points. They hang 50 on him. It's like 52-14. Where it's just burn the house down kind of game. It certainly would open the door.
Even if it's like 34-7.
Yeah.
I think another national TV debacle, I think, could be what would get him fired before the end of the season.
Yeah, 28-0 too. That would, they get shut out. Yeah, that would certainly open the door as well. We got the Cardinals coming up this weekend. Cardinals are 9-2. Certainly, they're not the same caliber. I don't think they haven't played the same as good at football as they did at the beginning of the season. Where they went in, just blew out Tennessee. The Cardinals 9-2. They're 8-3 against the spread. I'll tell you, the Cardinals are 6-0 on the road. They have not lost a road game yet this season. Their only 2 losses have been at home. Bears, on the other hand, at home they're 2-3 and 2-3 against the spread.
And we haven't beaten them at home since 2003 since Cordell Stewart was our quarterback.
Right. And I know you guys were talking about. I told you the story. I was at the Fog Bowl.
Yeah, you told me you were at the championship game that year too.
Right. In person, I was at the Fog Bowl. I could not see a thing sitting in the stands. The only thing I could see was the players coming off the field, onto the sidelines. That was it. There was nothing. You could not see anything. I really wanted to see Randall Cunningham. I was like, this is, he's just a phenomenal athlete, the way he'd scramble around and just a terrific quarterback. I couldn't see him though.
I saw the same game you did on TV. Neither one of us saw it.
Neither one of us could see anything, right?
Right. Well, we scored our points in the sunshine.
Right.
I mean, it's the Bears made the stops when they needed early in the game,
Yeah. Yep. They made stops.
Randall threw for 400 yards that day.
I got a question from Foster. If the Bears are 5-6, the Pittsburgh game a win? Because then we'd be even with Minnesota. First, we got to get past Arizona and Green Bay too, I think, right? I don't know. I'm not expecting. I don't think Kyler Murray's going to play, so I think the Bears have a better chance. But Arizona defense is pretty good. And then we've got the trip up to Lambeau Field, right? Coming up after that.
Yeah, I think the Bears can beat Arizona. I really do. If you were going to make me bet my mortgage, I would say we couldn't beat Green Bay. That's the game. We just, like Rodgers says, he fucking owns us. He still owns us.
Yeah, he does. We have, like I said, I think I said earlier in another one of these shows, I couldn't remember the last time we beat the Packers and Aaron Rodgers. Did we beat them with Brett with a backup?
When we clinched the division title in 18.
Right, but that was the backup though, right? Hundley was
Rodgers.
No? Okay.
Eddie Jackson intercepted Aaron Rodgers in the end zone.
He got hurt.
He got injured and was not available for the Eagles playoff game.
The other time we beat them was when Hundley was quarterback, right? For the Packers, backup of Aaron Rodgers that year.
Well, we beat Rodgers when McClellan hurt him.
Right.
In 13. Jay Cutler beat him in 2015 on Thanksgiving night when they had Bart Starr there and Brett Favre there, and it was like a homecoming game for them.
During the Nagy era, though.
Say it again?
During the Matt Nagy era, we beat him with the backup.
The Nagy era, he's only beaten him once, and that was in 18.
Right. And that was with a backup, though, no?
No, Rodgers played. We beat Rodgers. Khalil had the backward sack that day.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, we beat Aaron Rodgers for real. He threw the pick to Eddie Jackson, like Aldo said, to lose the game.
Yep. I thought I remember us beating Brett Hundley, the backup of the Packers for some reason.
No, that's why I was running through. He's lost to us 5 times. Jay beat him in 2010 on Monday Night Football in Week 3. We beat him in 13. And Shea McClellan game, which I think McCown played that one. We beat him in 15. We beat him in 18. What's the other one that I'm missing here? Oh, 2008. Kyle Orton beat him once. So
early in his career. Rodgers has been immunized now. Maybe is that Dexter? That's Dexter. Rodgers been immunized. Maybe we'll beat him now. Maybe it'll take away some of his mojo. It's got the vax.
I hope he comes down with a flaming case of gonorrhea the day.
There we go. Stephen Nagishi's got it. Brett Hundley came in week 1 when Rodgers got injured.
Yeah, and we lost that game.
We lost. Okay.
That's the game. That was
we couldn't beat the backup. Yeah.
Well, no, Rodgers came back into the game.
Okay.
Yeah, he led that big second half comeback because we had a big lead at the half. And Nagy's first game ever, Mitch's first game with Nagy, and Khalil's first game, and it looked so great in the first half, and then they fucking blew it in the second half.
Aldo, I asked Dan while you were away how you'd feel if Matt Nagy were to return next year before the season. How would you feel?
Well, okay, I'm going to make a proclamation right here, right now. Matt Nagy returns to the Chicago Bears next season. I'm going to take the year off. I'll do stuff at the Barroom Network, but it won't be Bears related. I'm going to boycott the team, and I'm going to publicly lead boycotts. I'm going to, people having boycotts of taxes, or I don't know what the fuck. I don't want to compare it to any serious social issue because that wouldn't be funny. And I'm trying to be a bit funny here, but I just feel I'm at a point right now where I'm feeling really rebellious about this team, more so than I think I ever have in my life. There have been seasons in the past where I've been so unhappy with the Chicago Bears that my attention wasn't 100%. Like it is for most seasons. I had other things to do. There was new girls to fuck and shit like that. And so that was much more interesting than watching the Bears lose. So, I devoted my fall to that. But I haven't, since I've been married, I haven't had to do that. So I really, really believe that if Matt Nagy does come back, I'm going to step back until he is gone, which I know won't be. I know there's no way he could survive another season like this. And I'm actually saying all this because I'm like 99.99% confident he will be fired at the end of the season.
I am too. I would defeat before he started. Just overwhelming sense of defeat.
Laz says that I'll go on a hunger strike. Fuck no, I'm not going no fucking hunger strike. Dan and I and Tooch are going to be eating. We're going to go on a fat protest. We're going to gain 800 pounds until Nagy's gone. We'll do the opposite.
The reverse down.
Exactly, Dan.
I'm all full of Black Friday beef jerky. My wife bought me some beef jerky at the outlet mall on Black Friday.
Whoa.
So.
How was that ingested? Anally or through?
For keto diet, it's beef jerky. It becomes essential. If you're on keto.
Really?
I got to tell you that it was announced. I think it was announced today or recently that Subway will have a keto bread sandwich. So like no zero carb bread. So and
that's
one
what
of the
I
test
buy
markets.
Yeah, I buy keto
one of the
bread
test
here.
markets is. Yeah, so do my wife and I do too as well. One of the test markets for the bread is Des Moines. There's 4. It's like nice. Boise, Charleston, and another one. I think Atlanta. There's like 4 test markets for Subway's keto bread sandwich. So
pretty cool.
I'll be lucky I'll report next week after I stop at after Subway. I'll report back to the bar room.
Dan, you never diet, right? Do you? I know you work out.
Yeah, I can't cook, so I end up eating, bad shit. But usually I can eat one meal and that's all day. If I would cut down on my soda, I'd be a little bit better. But yeah, I do work out. So like, if you want me to cut down on myself, I'll just say I'm a healthy fat guy.
What kind of soda does Dan like?
He's a Coke man.
Coca-Cola,
like vanilla Coke.
That's right. He likes that Coca-Cola.
I was going to reference when Tooch brought up Boise. It made me think of a Richard Pryor film that everyone else shit on that I enjoyed called Moving. It had Dana Carvey and Randy Quaid.
Never saw that movie.
The lady that's a right winger now that was in Clueless.
Oh, wow.
And she was in Mo Money with Damon Wayans.
Gorgeous woman.
Yeah. Stacey Dash.
Stacey Dash. No, that's the NFL
she's in
reporter.
It too. King Kong Bundy was also in it. I enjoyed Moving, the 1987 Richard Pryor film. He has to move to Boise, Idaho in it. So he went through that period where he was making, just like Eddie Murphy went through, like a period where he was making, movies that were for mass appeal. But this was still rated R though. I stayed away from it because I thought it was a kind of a sellout. I'm just doing this for money. But do you think it's worth watching? Yeah, I think again, it's not, I'm not telling you to watch Godfather 2, but for a comedy that's 90 minutes long and has Richard Pryor-esque jokes that are rated R, yes, I enjoyed Moving.
Although I was telling Dan we got the both of the tips I gave out last week hit the Lions plus the points and the under. So, but we got a Bears victory too, so it was the best of 3 worlds.
Yes. I made some money on that Bears game. Yeah, I did. I took the Lions and the 3 points, and so I covered. So, guys, I was holding up my little Dexter thing here. I don't know.
Yeah.
Have you caught up with the new season?
I haven't. How is it? Is it really good?
I fucking love it. I love it. Now, I'm not going to share much because you obviously haven't seen it. Dan is still working his way through the original series. You're in season 7, right, Dan?
I'm in season 7, so I've got a season and a half left to go before I can start the new one.
Okay, and so I want you to talk about that. You and John maybe can talk about that.
Yeah, I haven't seen it at all. None of them.
Really?
I've so wanted to watch it too. And I did the feature on of the new show. You had Entertainment Weekly. I'm sure you saw the issue.
Love it. I just reread the article the other day because I saw one of the latest episode of Dexter New Blood, and I just love it. And I can't really explain anything because I would ruin it for Dan and for you.
Yeah, please don't.
Yeah,
please
so
don't.
I won't. I promise I won't. But I think it's very, very clever. And one of the things that I learned from that issue of Entertainment Weekly that Tooch worked on is that those last couple of seasons of Dexter were the main showrunner. I think his name is Dan Phillips. He had left the show. Reason why is because the show was filmed, I think, in Miami, and he lived in New York, and he just said, you know what, I'm making all this fucking money, and I'm not enjoying it because I'm always over here working, and my family's in New York. So he left the show in the last 2 seasons, and there was a change in quality, not budget or the way it looked and so forth, but just the storytelling was different. I noticed the same thing with The Walking Dead when they changed showrunners like 2 or 3 times. It felt different from the last season, and so that's what happened with Dexter the last 2 seasons, and they were not as fulfilling as the earlier seasons. Well, this season, Dan Phillips is back, yay! And I'm telling you, man, it is fucking devious. It is so great. And what is so cool about this show is that you are rooting for this serial killer, for this monster of a man who kills people every episode and does it gleefully for fun, but he's killing for a reason. And so that sense of man, I'm watching something really macabre here and I'm enjoying the fuck out of it is back. And so I endorse it highly for all of you guys. Dan, tell people a little bit about Dexter. For those people who have never seen Dexter, you do a really good job of providing like a plot synopsis. Tell people what Dexter's about.
So Dexter is the guy that works for blood splatter for the Miami Police Department, or it's a fictitious name, the Miami Metro Police Department. And his dad adopted him from a crime scene. His dad was fucking his mother. She was a witness, a snitch. And she was like someone that worked, the street and stuff like that and gave him tips. And so this guy kills Dexter's mom, and Dexter as a baby's covered in blood. So he adopts Dexter and tries to give him a normal life and not tell him anything about his past. But Dexter kind of slowly remembers it as things drive him to remember throughout the show. It's sort of like repressed memories, I guess you could say. You could say the whole theme of the show is blood. It starts out with him getting bitten by a mosquito. He works for blood. Is it genetic that he could be, or maybe is it a product of his experiences growing up around this violence that leads him to violence? But either way, he takes his knowledge of the forensics and applies it to people that do bad things, whether it's a killer that walks, that doesn't get jail time. So he's sort of an anti-hero. Like, he doesn't just kill people that he doesn't like.
Mm-hmm.
He has a code, as he puts it,
right? His
father's code, and he targets people that have hurt others and done bad things and got away with it. Mm-hmm. So he's a vigilante in that aspect.
Right.
He kills people that have harmed others.
Right. He's Batman, is how it was described in that article from Entertainment Weekly, that those early episodes of the early seasons, I should say, of Dexter, he was basically the mythological Batman character. Everybody thought that he was bad, but he was actually doing a good thing because he was getting rid of other killers. But nonetheless, that kind of vigilante justice is wrong. So that's why I always had kind of an icky feeling about it. And the fact that he just loved doing it, you know, that's part of the whole issue. But that's a great way to explain it. I think it's a great show. I'm so glad, Dan, that you've been doing a great binge on this, and you're going to get on to the new season pretty soon here. I would say probably the next week, and maybe on the next show we can do a deep dive into the new season, and Tooch can put us on mute, and we won't spoil anything for him.
I agree. I think I'll be through season 7 before the end of the week, and then I just have 8, and we'll go from there. I still recommend to you that show Yellow Jackets on Showtime.
Just started watching it. I like it.
Really good.
Yep.
The soundtrack is great.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. It is great.
I don't know how many times I hit Shazam on my phone to say, "Oh yeah, that's great." So the soundtrack is great.
One of the things, though, you know, because it's jumping from time to time, from present to past, and so there are a couple times I found it a little frustrating with that going back and forth. But overall, it's a very, very compelling storyline. 4,000 Clover says, Yellow Jackets, what the fuck is that? It's a new Showtime show. It's on right after Dexter on Sunday nights.
Yeah,
it's good stuff, man. We got Christina Ricci, Juliette Lewis.
Great
cast. The main character looks a little bit like Molly Shannon to me. I know that's not who it is, but I would still fuck the main character. I think she's pretty hot.
Okay. I gotta find the name of this actor, the one that you're referring to. She was in season 1 of Fargo, the FX series. Whoa, baby, so good. Oh,
that's the only one that I watched of Fargo, because I just was so unimpressed by Billy Bob Thornton, and he was basically playing the same character from No Country for Old Men.
Okay.
No Country for Old Men. I watched season 1, and Billy Bob Thornton was like a fucking Michael Myers or something, in that he couldn't die. He had special power. Like, it just, fuck that, man. I couldn't make it to season 2.
The fact is, Dan Aguirre is really picky. Laugh out loud. Did he like Dexter so far? Yeah, Factor. He likes Dexter.
Love Dexter.
Yeah, he's totally into it. But yeah, a lot of people comment in the chat room, Dan, that your taste in movies, that you can be kind of finicky.
I just don't like comic book films.
None at all?
I mean, the Christopher Reeve Superman movies I could dig because I was a kid. All the current comic book movies, their fights and shit look like a fucking video game.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't like Heath Ledger as the Joker? The Dark Knight?
Oh, good. Yes, Tooch.
Yeah,
have you seen that?
He died, so we have to suck his dick.
No,
I'm sorry that he died.
No. It's not.
It was a great performance.
Give him the Academy Award because he died. I get it.
No, that first of all, that movie is fantastic. It starts with this crime, and it's all shot on 70 millimeter film. So the imagery is so fucking sharp and beautiful, and that great Hans Zimmer score behind it. And you meet this Joker character. He's fucking sinister. You've never seen a Joker like this. We're all familiar with the Jack Nicholson funny Joker, the Burgess Meredith funny Joker on TV and so forth. No, this fucking Heath Ledger Joker, this motherfucker is a scary motherfucker. This guy's really deranged. And just it's the Dark Knight. It's not really Batman. It's this dark noir comic book. It's based on the Dark Knight, and Dan, please do me a favor and watch.
I've seen clips of it. It's when Christian Bale sticks his teeth out every time he talks too, and he doesn't talk like himself when he's Batman. He's like, like, what is he saying? He sticks his teeth out and like makes his voice sound like like he sounds like the Detroit Lions coach. When he's playing Batman, what the fuck is it? Why does he sound like that? Like, Christian Bale alone makes me not want to watch that movie.
No. You got to give it.
They deserve to choose for themselves. What the fuck? Why is he sounding like that?
Zach,
he doesn't sound like that as Bruce Wayne. What is he doing?
Zach,
Why does he stick his teeth out like he's the gopher from Caddyshack?
Zach says, I'm with Dan on this take. Hate superhero bullshit, and it's everywhere now. Yeah, there is.
Yeah, there's like 77 movies a year of the same shit.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I've given up on Marvel. I know they're turning out some good stuff. I read the reviews, high quality stuff, but I just feel like I've seen this fucking thing before. Give me some good dramas. Give me some Gone Girls. Give me some.
You won't watch moving, but you'll watch comic book movies. The comic book movies, if they were music, are plastic top 40 bullshit Taylor Swift. Backstreet Boys, just for mass consumption. They're safe and watered down bullshit. They're TV fucking PGs, what they are, because it's safe for everybody. It's bullshit. And why can it be like Batman versus Superman versus Iron Man versus Wonder Woman? Like, get the fuck out. Why are there 77 guys in every film? It's like a rap video, for fuck's sake.
No,
I can't get into it.
You're right about that, but except I think that if you give that second Batman movie a chance, you will see a lot of it is like an allegory for the Bush Cheney administration, because there's Morgan Freeman plays this genius inventor who's developed something where he can spy on every household in Gotham City. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Isn't this what the fucking Bush and Cheney were doing?
It's the Patriot Act.
Exactly. So there's really good, subliminal symbolism, whatever you want to call it. And so it has some more weight to it than I think most superhero movies have. But the superhero movies are entertaining, but I'm just kind of too much of it, man. It's like, geez, do we have to have 10 of them a year?
I know, and I would watch Batman Part 26, whichever one it is you're wanting me to watch, if you would watch Moving.
Okay. All right.
I like Richard Pryor, man.
All right. That's a deal. And
it's rated R. I'm not asking you to watch some like fucking daddy daycare shit or something.
Last says Dan's voiceover voice is coming out. I love it. That is good. All right. And I got a Richard Pryor movie for you and Tooch and everyone else. It's called Blue Collar.
I've seen Blue Collar.
Isn't that great?
Yeah. Now that one's a little dark.
It's dark.
It's where he's working. And there's somebody else other than Harvey Keitel and Pryor. There's a third person.
Yaphet Kotto.
Yeah.
Bad motherfucker.
It deals with politics with the union and stuff.
Exactly. It is a real left-wing movie, which is why I like it, because its simple message is the people who are in power want to keep the racial classes clashing against one another so that they will fail to unionize and fail to seek workers' rights and so forth. It's a really good political drama. It's an old film, so if you're not into old films, bypass and watch a Marvel movie.
I gotta go in a second, but let me just say that I know that every Richard Pryor movie wasn't, I guess you could say maybe they were sellout movies or something like. But I mean, they were still rated R, and I still enjoy it. Like Bustin' Loose? Was that the name of it?
Yeah. Bustin' Loose, yes.
Bustin' Loose. Yeah, I enjoyed that, man. I know that it's like not a Black Power movie or something, but I thought it was good, man. It's funny. Richard Pryor was fucking great.
His concert movies first and foremost.
Oh yeah, the Sunset Strip and Here and Now.
Yes. Bingo Long and the Traveling All-Stars. He was one of several great actors in that movie. Trying to think of the name of another movie that I really like. The autobiography movie, JoJo Dancer.
Yeah, JoJo Dancer. That was solid.
That was excellent. But yeah, these kind of Gene Wilder movies.
Yeah, I didn't really like those. I'll give you that. I didn't really
Stir
like
Crazy. Come on. Stir Crazy.
I'm not a fan. Sorry.
I'm not a big Gene Wilder guy either. So.
Yeah. Grossberger, and then Grossberger was an opera singer. It's like the big bald guy that they moved into his cell with him, and they thought he was going to kill him. They turned out to be like a sweetheart with the operatic voice.
I don't remember.
I'm a Gene Wilder fan, so I like that stuff. I thought he was hilarious.
Yeah, I've never been a big Gene Wilder fan. The producers and Blazing Saddles. I mean, not Blazing
Willy
Saddles.
Wonka.
Young Frankenstein. I have never seen Willy Wonka.
What?
Never.
I
Willy Wonka. Have a couple gummy bears and throw that one.
Yeah, I'll probably have to do that. But I'm with Dan. You saw it and don't like it, right?
My mom made me watch that at like 8, thinking that like kids would all like this. And it wasn't like, oh, I'm afraid or something, because I was already watching rated R horror movies. I just thought it was boring and dreadful. Like, I thought it was terrible. Like, as a kid, now I haven't watched it since the late 80s, but as a kid, I was like, we should just throw this tape out. This fucking sucks. I hated it. I thought it was absolutely dreadful.
Did you like Home Alone? The Factor wants to know.
No. Because I'll tell you why. Because Joe Pesci, we're talking about fucking Joe Pesci.
The great Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci, how many times did they catch this kid and didn't fucking kill him?
But it's it's Three Stooges. It's slapstick. You know.
Fucking no.
It's,
and then when he's
that,
lost in New York and there's a pigeon lady. Oh God.
Was that John Hughes?
No.
The first one? No? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
It's John Hughes' film, right?
I don't think so. John Hughes did that other one, Uncle Buck, which was with Macaulay Culkin and
great movies. John Hughes, all Chicago area, North Shore mostly.
When Dan has time, I'll share a John Hughes story with you guys because I got a chance to interview him. It's pretty cool.
He's passed away now. Did he pass away? Yeah,
he passed away very young in life.
Yeah.
But he's a brilliant guy. Although a lot of the woke crowd now is saying that those John Hughes movies are not aging well from a political correction standpoint. So I'll have to kind of revisit that and rethink that. But I read a headline or two on that recently. Everything is fucking.
My last line, because I have to go to work.
Yeah, you better.
The thing with that is people fail to realize when they're quote woke. I'm not trying to be on a political soapbox here, but you have to view it in the context of when a movie came out. Things change. Culture always evolves.
Absolutely.
You can't judge, I don't like the way Judd Nelson was in 1984 to Molly Ringwald.
Yeah.
Like, he shouldn't treat women like that. But it's a different era, which doesn't make it right.
Right.
But you can't suddenly say, now we have to flush this movie down the toilet, because that was an acceptable standard in 1984.
That's right. And the same thing with Gone with the Wind. Some people don't want
Exactly. So, I don't even I've never seen Gone with the Wind, but I know that a lot of people now are like saying, you can't even watch it, and they have to show a warning now and Turner Classic, and fuck, man. I mean, like, people change. Look at Joe Biden as the example. 30 years ago, he was part of the reason that Clarence Thomas got put on the court.
Mm-hmm.
And was attacking a female victim.
Now he's a communist.
And then suddenly he is the Veep to Barack, who to the Republican Party is toxic waste.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's the president with the first female and biracial vice president. So I'm just saying, he's the poster boy of someone that did some bad shit early on in his life and evolved, whether you like him or not.
The Delaware Dixiecrat, pro-segregationist.
There you go.
Early in it, man, you could C-SPAN is littered with Joe Biden using the N-word all over the place. Didn't want his kids riding the same bus.
And he evolved. And I'm not even saying that any of that's right, because it's certainly not. But I'm just saying he's an example of times changing. People can change. I sound like Stallone at the end of Rocky IV now, so I'm going to go.
Hey, hold on. Before you go, Zach Sullivan wants you to watch the uncut version of Home Alone. He says that Joe Pesci puts the kid's head in a vice.
When you said uncut, I started to my cock.
That's right. When I first read it.
Dan, will there be Fire Nagy chants on Sunday?
There are Fire Nagy chants in my head. I'm masturbating
at the game on Sunday. Will we hear Fire Matt Nagy?
Yes, we're going to hear it during the game as soon as they start losing.
I would say yes too.
Yeah, I wanted to do a video where you hear chanting, at all over the world and stuff, but it was too much fucking work. I gave up.
Matt Nagy goes out to eat with his family. Fire Matt Nagy in the restaurant.
Exactly. What'd you say, Dan? You got to go?
Yeah, I got to go. But I say, remember, like, We Are the World, when everybody lined up and
yes, exactly.
Yeah, instead of We Are the World, it would be Fire Nagy.
Yeah, we have to have fun with it, because then it makes it less mean, actually. Like Greg Braggs was at one of the Bulls game last night, and there was the Fire Nagy chant again, and he said that he started to feel uncomfortable about it, and I can kind of see that given how prevalent it is. So we have to turn it into a joke so that way we don't feel guilty anymore.
I gotta go, guys. You all be well. I'm going to be late.
Good night, Danny.
Take care, brother.
Although if the Bears lose, if they lose to the Cardinals, I still don't think Nagy gets fired. But Dan and I both think that if the Packers hang 50 points on us the week after that he's gone, during the season, the first time the Bears have ever. What would it take?
Great point. I even think that a bad loss against the Cardinals at home, you're going to see and hear the fans get to the point where they could be riotous.
Yeah.
Right? Is that how you pronounce the word, riotous?
Yep.
And so that, I think that really has an impact on management. And if they see a lot of empty seats and stuff, hell, they want to sell as many T-shirts and hats and stuff as possible. So I do think it can start as early as Sunday against Arizona, where you could just see an ugly game, but if not against Arizona week 13, then definitely, like you say, in Green Bay, that could be an ugly, ugly, ugly loss, and heads will roll, brother.
Yeah, 5-game losing streak there for.
And then 6 last year, right? Somebody
it's brutal.
Somebody posted this. His record is
and he still didn't get fired.
I know, it's unbelievable. His record is like 6-16 in his last 32 games, something like that. It's fucking wild. King Pookie Nation's telling me I really need to watch Willy Wonka. Come on.
You do. I mean, it's a classic. I mean, it's funny too. It's subversive when you watch it. It's
okay. Now you're talking my language. Tell me more.
Yeah, I mean, it's a commentary on class. Upper class and lower class, just when you watch it. I mean, and Gene Wilder's performance is fantastic. It's funny. It's sinister. It's cruel. It's also uplifting.
Mine is saying that I should smoke a joint and watch it. You also mentioned gummies, so maybe I should do gummies and smoke a joint. How high do I got to get in order to enjoy it? Is what I want.
Well, I mean, there's one scene in the middle where they're riding this boat, because the chocolate factory is like an insane acid trip of a chocolate factory.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the things that happen in there and the way they're making the candy and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's even a scene where it's kind of like a breaking the fifth wall, where the one of the kids who's in the tour of the chocolate factory says, "What is this? Some kind of freak out?" It's like there's like flashing lights and acid trip movies or acid trip images.
Yeah.
What?
When you're describing it, it sounds to me, I watched Barbarella for the first time about 4 or 5 months ago.
Jane Fonda.
What a fucking disappointment. And
it's horrible.
She's beautiful. She's fucking beautiful in that movie. The sexy outfits, the pouty look.
Yeah.
She's gorgeous, but man, oh man, I could not maintain my erection. It was so boring.
Yeah.
That's
it was boring as hell, and it was in the same mold as the Flash Gordon movie that Sam Jones did.
Yeah, right.
Which was entertaining,
But didn't that movie have did you say Flash Gordon or Flesh Gordon?
Flash Gordon.
Okay.
Flash Gordon was also kind of like Barbarella.
Yeah. Flesh Gordon showed a genitalia, right? Didn't they show his penis?
I believe so, yeah.
Or the rocket ships were all shaped as dildos or whatever. I never saw that.
Do you think we'll be hearing the Fire Nagy chant? 100%, no?
No, fucking A.
On Sunday?
You're hearing it at the Illinois basketball games. I mean, that's a fact. That's true. So yeah, I again, I love the whole idea of spending a creative session just coming up with scenarios as to where you're hearing it. Like you're taking a shit in a public bathroom and just all next to you, Fireman Nagy. You get bagels.
I'm waiting for there to be a viral video of Matt Nagy going into a restroom like Kristen Cinema. When somebody goes into the bathroom while he's taking a shit,
Oh, I love that. I love the whole idea of reenacting the January 6th attacks on the Capitol, but it's the Fireman Nagy, Oh man, if I could just spend a couple of days doing a video like that, people climbing the fences at Hallis Hall, Fireman Nagy.
I tell you, boy, if the Cardinals come in and hang 50 on the Bears, it might get that bad.
I agree with you, man.
I forgot, someone asked me if I thought the Bears would cover 7.5.
Yes, I saw that. I was actually looking for it. So
I think it's 8 points now. The thing is that the Bears are at home. It's hard to. I saw 8 this morning. It is 7.5 now. That's a terrible number. With that hook sitting there, because I could easily see this being a 7-point game. With maybe it's something like 24-17. Cardinals come in, pull out the victory.
Kyler Murray is not playing?
I can't. Yeah, that's what I can't give him an answer until I know whether or not Murray's playing. I mean, Colt McCoy is okay as a backup. He'll manage the game and stuff, but Kyler Murray gives that extra added dimension, the scrambling ability and stuff. But the Cardinals defense is a pretty good defense. Andy Dalton, though, came in and showed that he can, move the ball against good defenses. The Baltimore Ravens defense isn't what it has been in past years. That's for certain.
That is for sure.
They're not as good a team. I don't that division, the AFC North, is up for grabs for all 4 teams, just like the AFC West. I don't think the Baltimore will be on the top of that division at the end of the season. I think it's probably either Cincinnati or Cleveland to win that. I could be wrong.
Cincinnati is starting to look like a different organization than they were under Marv Lewis.
Marvin Lewis, yeah, Marvin Lewis.
Yeah, I there's something going on. There's a sense in the air that the Bengals may not be the bullshit organization they've been for decades. So yeah, I think something special is there, which is the funny thing is that, the Bears actually beat them, but yeah, keep an eye on the Bengals for sure. By the way, Kyler Murray is hopeful that he will play, and so people are sort of saying, yeah, it's been a month, so put your ass out there. Now that turf at Soldier Field, if it's as bad as it was the last 2 home games, I would say don't start that guy. And Justin Fields for that matter. That turf was abominable. And back to the old days where the turf was awful. So Bear Truth 9 wants to know your thoughts, Tooch, on acquiring Sean Payton if possible.
I think that would be a pretty good choice. I've got to be honest with you. Not only Sean Payton, a Naperville guy, went to Naperville Central High School, my hometown. Naperville, Illinois is where I grew up in the 70s and 80s.
So, here's a question about Sean Payton. So what are you saying to Sean Payton? You get to be general manager and the coach, or you're coming back to Chicago to play under your old buddy Ryan Pace?
Great question.
So, because if he's coming to work with Ryan Pace, I don't know. I don't know if Ryan Pace can get him the type of personnel that, well, maybe Sean could help him to mold the team. I don't know. I just have this feeling that Ryan Pace has to go, and if he could take the rest of the McCaskies with him, that'd be great news.
Well, I'll tell you, the thing about Sean Payton was the question is how much of it was Sean Payton and how much of it was Drew Brees.
Exactly.
Let's look at how they've done without Drew Brees this year. Just an average team. Jameis Winston 5-2. He did have some talent at quarterback after Drew Brees. That Winston's out for the season. They've struggled with Trevor Siemian and Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill's been out for a while with the concussion. He seems to bring that extra dimension to the Saints. Passing and running, a tough runner more of a running back than a quarterback. But when he came in for the first time after being out with the concussion, threw some nice balls. Trevor Simeon's just bad. He's a guy that you can only.
He's good for a game. He's good for like a half a game.
If your starter goes out in like the third quarter, he's your guy.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
You need him to start more than 1 or 2 games. He's bad.
Yeah, he's like that junk ball relief pitcher that can create problems for an inning or two or series.
That's the thing. I mean, Alvin Kamara's been hurt for most of the year. Mm-hmm. That's a big part of their offense. They brought back Mark Ingram, to give him that 1-2 punch where you could, you don't have to wear down Alvin Kamara. You can have a bruiser running back, but Mark Ingram quickly got hurt as soon as he returned. Mm-hmm. They don't have a tight end. They don't have Michael Thomas at receiver. They have no good wide receivers. They're kind of suffering, kind of like the Bears, mm-hmm. With whether it's injuries or lack of talent. So, I don't think it's fair to judge Sean Payton on this year. Mm-hmm. But Sean Payton, I think, would be a great choice. But I just wonder if I'm sure he could work with Ryan Pace. They worked together in New Orleans when Pace was in New Orleans,
right? Yeah.
But don't you think Sean Pace kind of wants to have some sort of control over personnel and maybe even control over drafting at this point in his career? I would say yes.
He'll go anywhere else without that because some team will give him that. And by the way, Foster brings up a good point here. He says. The Saints had massive salary cap issues and still better than the Bears. And you are absolutely right. I remember reading an article, 5 years ago, something like that. Mickey Loomis has done a terrible job of managing the salary cap. This team is in trouble and so forth. And what happens? They go to this fucking NFC championship game and would have been to the Super Bowl if it wasn't for the goddamn ref that screwed them. So, all the salary cap stuff and maybe Ryan Pace hasn't screwed up the salary cap, although every indication this season, it looks like he has. He hasn't had enough money to bring in anybody else. But maybe, he can pull a Mickey Loomis and get this team into the playoffs with the weird salary cap situation that they find themselves in.
Yeah, the salary cap's going to be hairy, I think, next year. After that, I think it clears up pretty good. But I haven't looked into who, we would want to get for free agency just because the coaching staff is bad.
Right.
Who's going to come in here and really shine with these coaches?
No, you got to start there. You got to start with bringing in a new think tank, new leaders of the organization to correct, to really, really correct the culture. They talk about culture a lot, but it's a losing culture. You can't have that. I'm looking through the top free agent list here. The Bears aren't going to be able to afford a lot of these guys, but there are guys like they need another cornerback, right? So you got to look at guys like Joe Hayden, who's 33 years old with the Steelers. Maybe you can get him on a bargain price because I don't think the Steelers are going to sign him. Do you want Kyle Fuller back? Tooch? I don't know about that.
It's better than what we got.
That is true. That is true.
I think you got to draft. You got to draft another cornerback.
All right. Yeah. So everybody says that. So you got your second and your third draft picks. Everything else after that, even despite Pace's good record with fourth and fifth round draft picks, but it's safer that you're going to get a starter in the second and third round. So if you're going to do that, what position groups would you try to target with those second rounder and draft pick and third round draft picks? Are you talking cornerback? Are you talking offensive line? You're talking wide receiver? Are you talking the safety? Because Eddie Jackson, there's so many needs. Inside linebacker, pass rushers with Quinn and Matt getting old. There's so many fucking needs.
Yeah. Obviously it depends on who's there when the Bears are drafting, like which players fall. But I tell you, a hard-hitting, tackling machine at safety would really do some wonders for the Bears. Like Jamal Adams. Look at what Jamal Adams went to Seattle. I know he's injured now. Look, they lost to the football team on Monday night. They didn't have Jamal Adams.
Yep.
A player like that who you can get out, from the college ranks right now. I can't think of anybody offhand. I'd have to research a little.
Yeah,
bit.
I'm just thinking, not a name player, but if you had your wish, I wish this position group guy who's the best at this position is available, because we really need this guy in this position. Is it a wide receiver? Is it an offensive lineman, or what have you? Fuck it.
You got to replace aging pass rushers now too.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got to replace aging pass rushers. I mean, you need Allen Robinson probably will not be back next year. I would guarantee. That leaves you with Darnell Mooney, who's a good player.
I think so.
A really good player, probably could play as a number one. He's more of a number two, but you'd need to draft a guy opposite him. That's basically, you need to draft another Allen Robinson, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who's big and fast,
right.
And is a good red zone target.
I would love to see, like I said earlier in the show, you got to start building around Justin Fields, right? So Mooney is a great guy for him to continue this relationship. It's clear that they have a bond. Fields targets him a lot. They got something going on here that could be even better. It could be like this guy could be catching 1,000 yards every season, 7 to 10 touchdowns. I think that can happen. If you were to get now in the second round another wide receiver that he can build a bond with there, and now for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years, you got a pair of wide receivers that he can count on to go deep, to go over the middle, and so forth. And then hopefully Cole Kmet continues to progress, because I've seen some good things about him over the last few days. And then you got Khalil Herbert and David Montgomery. So now maybe we're cooking with some gas here. And then in the third round, you got your offensive linemen to supplement Tevin Jenkins, Larry Borum, James Daniels, and now you hopefully Cody Whitehair is here for another season. Maybe get a good center in the third round. All of a sudden now the offense starts to look pretty competitive.
Yeah, I agree with PJ too, man. If you want to help Justin Fields, you need some. He drafted 2 tackles. Let's see if they're any good. Guards you can find in the later round, but a good center. I mean, Mustafa is not a good center. Yeah,
I think technically wise, he's very good. It's just he's got to develop that strength. He reminds me of a bad Hronis Garasu. And what I mean by that, Hronis Garasu was all technique and quickness and so forth, but he just didn't have the strength. And this is the black and blue division. You're going to have Lions and Vikings and Packers who are big, Kenny Clark. Everybody, think about everybody that Sam Mustafa has faced this season. He goes up against, what's his name from the Rams?
We played Vita Vea and the Bucks.
Yeah, we
massive
played
man.
But the Rams, the defensive tackle,
Aaron Donald.
Aaron Donald, thank you. I cried when he went right before the Bears picked in that draft. Mustafa has played against some of the best interior defensive linemen. I'm not saying if you can't find somebody better, if you can find somebody better, bypass them. No, we should always try to improve the position. But I don't hate him as much as most people do.
I just wish he was more of an Olin Kreutz type leader in the locker room. I think maybe that's what we're missing.
That's a great point. You need the alpha males, and this Bears team. When you talk about
the Neanderthal gene, right?
Yeah.
Doug Buffon would always say the Neanderthal gene.
Exactly. So you got Akeem Hicks. I think is that guy. He's a smart, aggressive guy. But beyond that, you don't really have anyone that comes to mind immediately, because Khalil kind of keeps to himself. Robert Quinn kind of keeps to himself. Hey, by the way, did you see that story about Robert Quinn when he was a teenager? He had a tumor in his brain.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. The brain
tumor.
Know that? I didn't know that either.
Holy shit! I saw that video and I was like, I was really moved by it. I mean, he was moved recalling the story. I had no fucking clue that he went through and overcame it.
Oh, why didn't we hear that story last year? He was on the team last year, so he wasn't playing much. But
I hear you. Zach,
now that he's playing, right?
Yeah, really. Zach is asking about Mac's contract. No, he's got a really big cap hit, so you really can't get rid of him until after the next season. And even then, you'll have some dead cap issues for the next 3 seasons because he's helped out the Bears and pushed his salary back and blah blah blah. That whole fucking mess. So Max, unless the Bears are willing to trade him away for draft picks or whatever, and assume that the hit on his contract, because the Bears are going to have to eat some of it.
Yeah,
Mac is going to be around at least another year, and I'm guessing another 2 seasons.
Yeah, he's shut down for the rest of the year, correct?
Yes, he is shut down for the rest of the year. By the way, PJ wants to know about the center from Iowa. What do you know about him?
Right, and his name escapes me. Tyler. Yeah, he's excellent, man. If you watch video of him, I could tell you his name. I have it here in a second.
Is it Patrick? No, it can't be.
Tyler. Its name's Tyler. Oh boy.
Tyler Lindstrom.
Lindemeyer. Tyler Lindemeyer, right?
No, Linderbaum.
Tyler Linderbaum. Yeah, he's amazing. He's one of those guys. He's fast. If you watch him getting downfield,
because he has strength.
He's good. He's the number 1 center in the college right now. Possible first round pick, maybe second round or third round, but there's tape out there on him. You'll watch his highlight tape and stuff of him. Also, like running downfield on a long touchdown. He's like almost as fast as the wide receivers.
I love it.
Yeah.
If you can find offensive linemen in today's day and age of football who can run but can still have the core strength to stop some of these big brutes that are rushing, you struck gold.
You'll have to see what Danny and Neil say about the big center from Iowa. But yeah, he would be a great pick. I know we already drafted one Iowa center. He didn't end up playing center for us, but James Daniels.
Yeah, maybe he will, though. We will see. But you know what's weird is I was talking out loud about the quick fixes to the offense. Man, maybe you can get something going, because I do have high hopes for Cole Kmet and Darnell Mooney. I'm hoping those 2 draft picks. I think both of them are entering their 3rd season next year, right? Yeah, because they came from the same draft. And that's usually the time, and Tooch knows this from his fantasy football knowledge. It's usually year 3 where tight ends and wide receivers start to mature, and now it's starting to ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. And so Mooney and Kmet, I could see Mooney getting 80 catches to 90 catches next season, and I could see Cole Kmet getting 60 to 75 catches next season. And that would be huge. That would be really nice.
Mooney's a guy that reminds me of Marvin Harrison of the Colts. I don't know if you remember Marvin Harrison. He was
absolutely fucking record setter with Payton.
About the same size, shifty, smaller guy, but had that knack for getting open. Kmet to me is a little stiff. Out there. He's not athletic like Travis Kelce.
No, he's more Kyle Rudolph than Travis Kelce. Right.
Yeah, he's a bit of more of a bruiser, but would love to see Kmet have the success, hometown kid. It's a great story.
It really is. Good guy. He lives down the block from me, so I'm gonna actually go camp out in front of his house until he comes on the show with us.
I have been watching some good series though too. Started watching Cowboy Bebop on
my daughter texted me the other day saying, Dad, are you watching Cowboy Bebop? Because she and I would watch the anime series when she was younger, and so I told her no, I haven't seen it yet. And so I'm
enjoying it. It's
sent
great.
me a clip from her. She pointed the camera at her TV and showed me a scene from the show. It looks really fantastic.
It's fun, man. It's a lot of fun. It's got a story, and it's not super complicated. Special effects are great. There's martial arts. Who doesn't like martial arts movies, right?
I love
So, I mean, John Cho was one in it, too. I think you'd really like it. I mean, I never saw – I mean, I watched the anime, but I wasn't like a super huge fan So
I love that anime style, where it's gangsters and cigarette smoke, that noir look.
Yep.
I love that. And I didn't see tons of those episodes, but the few that I saw with my daughter, I forced her to watch it. She was, I don't know if I like this. No, you like it. Watch it. I gotta watch your princess movies. You got to watch my cowboy.
It was great. I got to tell you, after I watched another sports movie, which is new, as I watched that I gave you King Richard last week. This time I watched Bruise, the Halle Berry as the MMA fighter, and I really enjoyed it, man. I'll tell you, it's rough, man. But there's, you're rooting for her. It's a lot like The Wrestler, that Mickey Rourke movie.
Great movie.
Kind of redone with Halle Berry. I'll tell you, Halle Berry's 2 years older than me. I'll tell you, she really like punished herself for this role. She is in phenomenal shape. She took a beating. She looks fantastic. She does not look like she's 55 years old. I'll tell you.
She, the last movie I saw her in, what was the name of that movie where she plays a 911 operator?
Yeah, I can't remember.
I saw it in the theater. So
the one that Dan Aguirre hated that movie, though.
Did he really?
Yeah. It's like it's the most unrealistic movie you'd seen for 911 operators.
It's a silly little action movie and stuff. It's
right.
not. It's,
I saw it. I thought it was good.
It other than to in the movie theater when I saw it, there is this movie screen that's 40 feet tall and 80 feet wide, and there she is in a super close up. And her skin looked like a baby skin. And we're talking about a 50-year-old woman at the time.
Yeah.
Just phenomenal construction by the dear Lord when he picked Halle Berry and Jennifer Lopez. These very special women. They're just not a blemish anywhere. Unbelievable.
I think you'd enjoy it too. I like the Will Smith movie a little bit better just because Will Smith's acting. If he doesn't, he is the front runner for Best Actor after this.
That's what I've heard,
no doubt about it.
Yeah.
So if you do want to see
my wife and I are going to watch it this weekend, so we'll report back here next Tuesday. Anything else that you've seen that you want to share with people?
Well, I was watching Hawkeye, but after the Marvel got trounced on here, I wasn't going to say it.
Go ahead.
It's really good, man. It's Haley Steinfeld. Is that her name? Haley Steinfeld.
I love her in True Grit. That's where her breakout
exactly.
role.
True Grit. She is excellent in this. She is so funny. She's her facial expressions too, and her comedic delivery. And then Jeremy Renner the same. They're both. It's got the action. It's got the crime gangsters. It's got the mystery too. Mm-hmm. And then it's got these two characters. They're dynamic. They they hate each other. Then they start to like each other. And they both give great comedic lines. Deadpan delivery. It's really good. I think it's really good.
So, do I need any Marvel backstory knowledge in order? Because if that's the case, then I can't see it.
There's all. I mean, the only thing is, I guess when she was a little girl, she saw Hawkeye fighting as an Avenger, when she was like 6 or 8 or 9 or whatever, and she from that time on, she wanted to learn the bow and arrow, martial arts, and fencing, and all this stuff. So by the time she meets him, she's like a little ninja. But she's funny though. I mean, that's great. Vera Farmiga is in it. Simon Callow, and I forget. There's a bunch of other good actors. Got a great cast.
Yeah, and I do love some of these movies. I just think there's too many of it.
This is a series though. It's a series.
Yeah, which is cool. I could definitely get into that. One of my favorite comic book action movies is Kick-Ass.
Yeah, it's great. Love it.
Yeah. I haven't seen part 2. I understand
part 2 is great too.
Yeah, the first one is.
The first one's brilliant.
Phenomenal. It is exactly. It is brilliant.
Yeah. Nicolas Cage. Oh, I did see a great movie. Speaking of Nicolas Cage, you have to see Pig.
Yeah, I've heard about it.
Have you seen it? It's excellent, man. So good.
When I'm scrolling through the movies to stream, I see it there.
That's great.
It's funny because I like Nicolas Cage, but everyone else in my household just abhors Nicolas Cage.
He's a terrible actor, but in this one, he's excellent, man. It's like, they gave him an Oscar for Leaving Las Vegas. He was a drunk. I mean, playing a drunk. I mean, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all right. He had to act drunk. You know, what the hell?
I
It ain't the hardest thing to do, right? You and I do it every night. Right. This one, he's way better than Leaving Las Vegas. He's excellent. I don't want to give it away, but he's a truffle farmer. You know, he's got a pet pig, and his pig is stolen. That's the whole movie. It's great.
Oh,
he's got a secret past, and he's got a friendship with a young man who buys the truffles from him. And they're set off to find his pig and into this underworld of Portland, Oregon. It's great, man. It's killer.
Check it out. I'll have to check it out.
It's in 3 acts. Each act is part 1, rustic mushroom tart, you know, and then there's part 2, you know, it's another dish, you know, because it takes place in the food scene of Portland, you know, because he's a truffle farmer, a truffle buyer. Right. You know, these restaurants are paying top dollar for truffles. You know, he's a hermit that lives out somewhere in, you know, the wilderness of Portland in a shack, you know, with his pig. You got to watch it. It's great.
I told I'm a big fan of the Babe pig movies.
Right.
Especially the second one, which was directed by George Miller of the Road Warrior, Mad Max. Fucking phenomenal. Great movie making. By the way, I know I'm going to get yelled
George Miller.
Truth 9 and by you, but I have not watched Guardians.
Killer. It's both Guardians movies are good. One is better. It's unlike any superhero movie you'll ever see.
I'm told. I just read an article about this the other day as I was taking a shit. That is the greatest Marvel movie. That Guardians of the Galaxy.
I can watch it over and over again. I think it's hilarious too. It's kind of like an anti-superhero movie. And then of course the director, I think his name is James Gunn. He did the Suicide Squad, which went a little too far with the anti-superhero movie. But Guardians of the Galaxy is perfect. It's got this great 60s and 70s soundtrack. I think 70s soundtrack, you know, and
I was actually in my car headed to the movie theater to watch Guardians of the Galaxy, and then I got a phone call and I couldn't go to the movie, and so I haven't caught up with it, but I will. In fact, I'm going to next week. I will have watched it by next week, Tooch, and then you and I with Dan here, we'll talk about it for a half hour. What do you think?
It's great. Chris Pratt's really funny, man, and
he's a great actor.
He's funny as hell. And then you got the beautiful Zoe. What's her last name?
Deschanel.
No, God, what's the actress' name?
I know you're talking about Zoe. It's not Kravitz. It's
no. Yeah, what is her name? She's married to a tennis player. What is her name?
Zoe
Saldana.
Zoe Saldana.
She's Puerto Rican, I think, isn't she? Zoe Saldana.
Well,
Dominican or Puerto Rican.
If she is, I want to go over there and.
She is beautiful.
Frijoles with her cuchifrito.
Zoe is beautiful, man. She's just so beautiful. And she's great. I know she's beautiful with green makeup in this movie.
Oh, cool.
Zoe Saldana. She's Colombian, PJ said, yeah.
Colombia.
And then you've got Dave Bautista. He's also in full makeup. And Bradley Cooper plays, he's actually the voice of a genetically modified raccoon. And there's also
I've seen clips of that. That looked like a great special effect.
There's a walking tree too. That's the companion of the raccoon. That's voiced by Vin Diesel. So you got a good cast. And then in the second movie, they add I forget the actress's name. She's really funny, but she's like a praying mantis type woman. I forget her name. She's really funny too. Movie? There's Guardians 2, right? She plays Mantis. I forget her name. She's an Asian actress, I think.
Let me see. I'm scrolling through the cast, but that's
Guardians 2.
That's probably why I can't see her here. Guardians 2. PJ's going to beat me to it. I know he is. Oh, fuck. Scoot it up. Sorry. Nothing like dead air. Mantis. Is that her character's name?
Yeah, Mantis. What's her name, the actress? I forget her name.
It's not Karen. Oh, it's Palm Clement.
Yeah, Palm Clementine or something, right?
Jeez, what a name! I've never heard it. Wow, she's gorgeous.
Yeah, she's really good in that too. Karen Gillan that plays the sister of Zoe Saldana. She's like an android or something.
I'll have to check that out.
Palm Clementine, is that her name? Palm Clementif or something?
Palm Clementif. Yes.
Yeah, Palm Clementif. Yeah.
A member of the Guardian.
She's really funny, man.
Empathic power.
Character's hilarious.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. All right. It's time for me to go to bed. And that means it is time for us to pull the plug. You got any betting news for our customers?
If you follow me on Twitter and you retweet, follow me and retweet my play of the day, I will DM you my play of the day. And today I gave out Wake Forest -2, and that was a winner against Northwestern Wildcats. So you cash that ticket. I think I've won like 4 in a row on my free play, 5 in a row now. So, and then I'm also doing like 1 minute college basketball previews on Twitter. So if you follow me on Twitter, you get, although Duke went down, I thought Duke would probably win that and cover the spread, but they didn't. Loved Purdue, man. Speaking of Greg Braggs, Purdue just hung 90 points on Florida State, who's a pretty darn good tournament team. Nice. Purdue's got a 7'4" center. That guy's just a monster on the boards. Scores about 17, 18 points a game. Sophomore, I forget his last name's like Edey or something. Justin Edey, pretty good player. And they hung 92 points on Florida State tonight. So I think it was 92-58 or something like that.
Wow, nice.
So Greg Bragg's favorite team is the Boilermakers.
He does love his Boilermakers.
Yeah, that's gonna. Team's gonna be tough to beat in the tournament this year. They might take it all the way. They have got a hell of a team this year, the Boilermakers. So
yeah,
I'll be betting on them.
Well, it's still too early.
Still a little early, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Let people know your Twitter account for those listening on the audio podcast.
Yep, at John Santucci VIP on Twitter, and podcast on YouTube. I do about 4 or 5 times a week, talking college football and NFL right now, and pretty soon college basketball. That's the Maximum Edge Sports Wagering Show on YouTube with a rotating guest of handicappers, rotating cast of handicappers. You can see I'm on Sports in the World podcast tomorrow with Ladarius Brown, talking college basketball and probably some Bears and Atlanta Falcons, which is his favorite team. So that'll be 12:30 tomorrow. I'll be on Sports in the World with Ladarius Brown.
Excellent. By the way, I'm going to be on the Irish.
The Irish Bears fan show. Yeah.
Irish Bears fan show.
Nice. I love those guys.
4 p.m. Central. Yeah, those guys are fantastic.
Yeah.
So I'll be on there. And then Buffon 55 here at 7 p.m. We've got a great guest to help us break down the Arizona Cardinals. And by the way, Greg Gabriel and I are doing a special show tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. And then if you like hockey, it's 2 p.m. It's Bar Down Hockey Talk with the Parisi brothers and Edward Mueller. So Edward Mueller. Yeah, I said that correctly. And it is late. My brain is not working really
Remember,
well.
John Buffon's pick for the Bears draft was Darnell Mooney.
That is right. Darnell Mooney, indeed.
He called it.
Which was better than his second round pick, who was some blocker from Kentucky who was drafted onto the 5th or 6th round, something like that. But nonetheless, we got tons of stuff here, and the best way to stay on top of stuff is to subscribe to the Barroom Network here on our YouTube channel and also on our audio podcast. Tooch, last word.
Can you get the jersey in the swag shop? It's sharp.
Yeah, you like this?
Yeah. I really do. I'm jealous.
Yeah, we might have to find you one of these.
Yeah, I like that. I'll buy one of those if you send me to the swag shop. I'll buy one of those.
Yeah,
I like that.
Thing here.
Yeah, that's nice. Yep. Excellent.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's like having sex.
I like it. That's sharp.
We got some new news regarding the swag shop, which we'll have in the next week or two. But if you need something immediately, deepdishtees.com is the place to go. But we're going to make some new exciting changes with our swag shop very soon. So I will leave it there. Tooch, thanks a lot for all you do for this show and for being a hell of a great guy.
I can only block Don Burr so many times. I can only give him a timeout so many times. Guys,
By
sorry.
the way, we didn't get a sex story from Dan. Do you want to share one of your sex stories?
Not really. I'm just kind
the first time you masturbated. Go ahead.
Oh gosh, it's probably in the womb.
All right. Well, next week I'm going to pair my soul with some story. I don't know what it is yet, but I've got some. I got some really good ones that I've been withholding. Actually, I might withhold them until after the Bears season when we need stuff to talk about. But I've got some stuff from my childhood that I must share with people. I was thinking about it the other day as I was showering, and I was saying to myself, I can't believe I haven't shared this with people, but I will. I promise to do so. Some crime stories from my young days. So yeah, teach you. You'll get a kick out of some of this stuff. But anyway, it is time for us to go. Make sure you start the day with us tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Central. It is Greg Gabriel Talks Football. He and I will be talking football, and then we've got more stuff the rest of the day. Take care, everybody.
Cool. Good night, Firefly.